To start today's... Well, first of all, we are recording our first ever in-person podcast. Right now, I'm in the room with Rebecca and Rachel. And now that I'm saying it out loud, little bit surreal, actually. Now that I realise I'm looking at your faces in person and not over a Discord call.
Right.
So, yeah, we've been together for, Rachel arrived 2 days ago. You arrived yesterday. We are, staying in the Yorkshire Dales. And we've not stopped talking.
Yes, we've done so much chat.
Oh my God. Wouldn't you, that we'd have run out of things to say by now?
You really would, yeah. But we just love yapping.
1 a.m, last night, still chatting away. Oh my God.
I'm still impressed by Rachel and I just going outside while you were on a work call and coming in with sunburns 4 hours later.
You both got so sunburned. And we just have not stopped talking. So it's been incredible. It's been so nice. And it is now that we're recording a podcast, I feel so thrown off. Considering all we've done is talk. I'm like, it feels really weird to talk now.
How do you have a conversation with a person in the room?
So to start this episode, though, I've made a big promise to friend of the podcast and a friend in general, Ed Thorne, who gave me a classic, what do you even call them? Thought experiment? It's not a thought experiment. It's not like a would you rather. Have you heard this thing where it says, there are 10, but... Have you heard this before?
Yes. Yeah, okay.
So, if there wasn't for this one thing, they would be the perfect partner, right? And he proposed this to me and it broke my brain. We must have had an hour-long conversation about this. So I want to know how you two will react to this.
I'm so excited for this.
Okay? So, there are 10, but every time they go to the supermarket to buy milk, they open up the milk and have a little sip first before they buy it. Would you still date that person?
Oh my God, no. My immediate is no.
That was
absolutely
mine as well.
not.
Yeah.
But for a 10 and everything else.
Oh, I'm just baffled now.
Miles Edgeworth is...
Right, but every time.
He's not going to be interested in me. I'm going to... Spoiler alert. Not his type.
Not his ballpark.
I hate to break this to you, Liam, but...
What am I breaking to you, Liam?
But okay. What kind of the big milk cartons? Because the two-handed milk cartons, you proper need to
you'd have to really raise it to your
or
mouth,
the little ones.
Any milk.
Any milk.
They
Okay,
lift
so
it
this
to
is
their
like
lips.
this is basically the whole drinking from the carton argument, but to 11, right?
And in a
that's what we have.
supermarket, but it's before they buy it. They then buy the milk.
Not if they don't like what they taste.
What?
Okay, no,
this has changed
no.
the tone of this significantly for me.
They put it back. If they don't like what they taste, they put it back on the shelf and then they do it again until they find one that they want to buy.
No.
No, that's a hard no.
That's a hard no. There was that craze when people were licking cheese in
Oh,
supermarkets.
I remember that.
What
yeah.
What the fuck? I'm sorry,
Disgusting.
what?
And that
Yeah.
reminds me of that. It's honestly vile. So you know what? No. If they would be like, maybe I'll get, even if it was a maybe I'll get this milk, it'd have to be, I'm going to get this milk.
Yeah.
Have a little sip.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little mid-supermarket
It's eccentric if you
sip.
intend to buy. If you firmly intend to buy, it's a little bit eccentric. It's
Yes,
when you
yes.
when you were a little kid and you'd be going around and your parents would let you have the end off the baguette to keep you quiet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, but the
No,
milk, I mean,
yeah.
it's not drinking milk, sorry. It's drinking anything that's a several serving drink that you intend to share with other people straight from the container. That's a bit
Someone's going to buy that milk.
right?
And get home and open it.
There are 10 in all other areas. Can I just be look, we need to have a talk about this. And if you can't behave, I need to be the one who buys the milk, apparently, for the rest of our lives.
Ed, honestly, he thought this through. Ed has already got an answer for that. It's that this is a non-negotiable part of their personality. Is that they will not ever change this part of themselves.
Okay, and they won't even, they're not even down for me to just buy the milk for us.
Oh,
They're I need to know what milk I'm buying.
I guess... I don't think he answered that. I'm going to say that if you...
This is a really good
Just
question,
needs to
by
be
the way.
even more
It's
specific
amazing.
than Ed.
So
and
much.
then-
Yeah.
Ed, as far as I'm concerned, Ed is like a modern day Aristotle because this question has plagued my life.
This is the new trolley problem, essentially. This is the new Ed Thorne.
Ethical dilemma for the ages. I think if you said to them, Ed, email me if this is wrong, but I think if you said to them, I'm going to be one to buy milk, they'll be like, well, you can, but if I'm there, I'm having a little sip.
Oh,
And how big is this little sip though? Is it like a Actually,
I don't
does it
think
even
I don't think
matter?
the quantity of the sip matters at this point. To be fair,
Because the lip contact is there regardless.
the damage has been done.
The seal has been opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if
The
that
milk be flowing.
What if that milk was?
I guess the milk do be flowing. You're not wrong.
It's just no, but it is a 10.
I
That's
know,
the
right?
thing.
It's just like one really annoying, one really annoying quality.
So it's like, would we all break up with our current partners if they started doing this and it was non-negotiable? Probably not. No, because
Would you not? I can't answer that. Mine listens.
so does mine.
so like,
God damn it.
if you put it in
That's
that
a good question.
perspective,
Would you break up with your partner?
that's the thing.
If they started doing that.
No,
I think
probably
if
not.
someone started doing that, you'd be like, okay, let's dig into this as why
I
this
would-
has started happening.
I would just do all the shops on my own, and
This is what
the
I'm thinking.
excuses intensify.
Yeah. And just like there are 10 in every other area. That's rare. One extremely
Yeah.
annoying habit, but there are 10.
That's the thing.
I mean, you could just go in a different aisle. But the thing is
I still know about it.
That's the thing. Because I definitely, sometimes when I buy something from a supermarket and I unscrew it, and if I don't hear the clicks of like the safety seal, I do think someone's pissed at this. Like,
Do you actually? I don't even check. Now I'm thinking I should
I have
check.
a big, if it's like like a jar, like the jar has like the popper thing.
Yes,
Yeah, oh yeah,
yes.
you have a little kicky.
Yeah.
Kicky
Oh
about
no, I'm quite paranoid of like someone walking
no.
in, being like, I need a sip of something, having a sip, and then putting it back. Because
Someone's shat in my jam.
someone has shat in your jam.
Why? Why did we go there?
Because I'm thinking now of all the times I bought stuff and I didn't check the pop and the seal.
Because 70% of jam has shit in it, Rebecca. Recent studies showed.
No.
So my jam. So we're saying, tell you what, add another wrinkle.
Oh god.
Who is like, let's imagine like someone that you think is a 10 in looks. And then imagine they have a perfect 10. For me, it's Harrison Ford circa 1978.
Oh my god. Well, this is just its own question now. Jeez.
David Beckham Pepsi advert. Cowboy Pepsi advert. David Beckham.
That is a brilliant answer. But if you imagine that person having a
Right.
little sip
Okay.
He had a little sip of Pepsi every time he went into a supermarket.
every time,
Would it change? Okay, does the liquid change anything?
he
though?
just said milk. I don't think it does, but for some
No.
reason there's something about
Yeah,
milk
that is grim.
particularly yeah.
Okay. For
Milk is innocent.
a
Milk has done no crimes.
oh, this is gonna make me sound so shallow.
Can I tell you about the dairy industry?
You don't need to tell me about the dairy industry.
And yet she says there's no crimes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, does it make a difference if the milk is vegan? Hold on, we haven't even dug into that aspect of this
No,
yet.
it's
Well,
any milk.
you know what?
Okay.
I wasn't gonna get into that very messy.
Yeah.
Vegan milk is it'll still be
Oh
vegan
yeah,
milk.
no, it's still
Yeah, yeah.
it's still doing the job.
They'd
I
still
agree.
do
I
it to
just like
vegan milk.
is there a nuance there that we need to explore?
No, they'll still do it to vegan milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No one is safe.
This is
No
like
one
a
is safe.
really, really shallow take of me, probably. But I'm like, if we're talking like, perfect 10, I'm like, okay, either I'm doing the shop on my own or I'm going with you and we're buying whatever you've opened. Like,
Oh, see.
Oh, you would like just buy everything.
yeah, I'm just like, no, you're not putting that back. We're buying it. Like,
Oh my god. Unsurprisingly, Rebecca has found the answer.
the
Yeah.
loophole.
You simply always make sure you're at the shop with them and you just put whatever they don't buy into the trolley.
yeah.
What if they come back from work one day and they have milk on them? You then have to go to the shop
be
they
like,
went
this-
to.
I'll
is a
take it
betrayal.
all.
This is a
I'll take
betrayal.
the lot.
No, you could just unscrew the cat. And anything that's got like the little thing peeled back, you're like, and you've been at that one, I can tell.
Oh, but what if there's none? And then what you know is that
Oh, no.
someone...
Sometimes, like,
Some poor
yeah,
innocent.
life's not perfect,
victim.
is it? That's the thing.
Life's not perfect. It's a very balanced take. I think my answer is no. But then you saying, would I stay with my current partner if she did it? I wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah.
I'd be like pretty fucking like, but I would.
Well, yeah,
I don't
mean,
know what that
that's-
says about me.
That's
but I
a
would.
factor as well, I think, is like how far into the relationship. Because if someone does something like that when you've been dating for like a week, you're like, that is weird.
Oh, absolutely.
Like- Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't go full weird within the first little, like.
Oh, you gotta let it out slowly over.
I think
Exactly.
10 years in my case. I think Ed said it was straight away.
Okay, that, yeah.
But then are you having the first date in an Asda?
At that point, you're still, like, at that point, they're simply not a 10. Like, at
Yeah.
that point.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, probably not. But if it was friend of the podcast Henry, then yes.
Yeah.
So
and if
that
it was-
makes it complicated because that's the closest I can imagine to a 10. Like
Yeah.
without that, it's so easy to be like, no, never.
Once again, I feel like I need to give my partner instructions about milk specifically on the podcast.
Mick. Kill the president, Mick. No, I can't make that joke anymore.
Oh my god, dude.
I didn't think about that.
That episode went live like a week before.
It wasn't Mick.
It was before. It wasn't. Oh my God.
Can we keep this in? Do we have to? Are we about to get investigated by the Secret Service?
Michael.
Don't kill the president.
All right, he also does not know that joke, so he's not going to
yeah,
get
true.
Oh yeah, sorry, Mick. We were chanting your name
Yeah.
when you weren't here.
We're trying to summon your Amazon password last night, and we did. Thank you.
God.
But that is a Married at First Sight reference as well. The meek. That's what I was doing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Australia.
Liam was just making noises.
Meek.
I was just enjoying making noises with you.
There's a woman of Married at First Sight Australia. It's the inner season.
Oh, is
And
it?
one of the women she's married to someone called Michael, and she keeps going, Meek, Michael.
Oh, I do know. Oh
Meek.
my God, I do know.
That's what I was doing.
Well, I was just like, oh, a fun vocal stim.
Yes.
Sign me up.
I mean, we thought that we were going Sony, trying to convince the TV
Oh, yeah.
to work.
So as you can tell, everyone, we're an even more feral in person.
That's fair.
No. All right, that'll do.
Oh, dude. So this is a thing now. This is going to be pretty
Unfortunately,
weird.
Oh,
The
but it's
podcast
so
is going
fun
to talk
to
to you some
say.
more. Like, it's not actually that uncommon a name. So by association, anyone else who listens,
Yeah.
who's called Michael?
What's my name?
I know it's your name, but we never call you that. So
I totally forgot.
I knew it because I saw your driver's license.
I literally showed you my.
Yeah.
This makes it sound like we've had the weirdest weekend. So far we've said your partner's name to each other, and you've seen my driving license.
Oh, yeah, no, it was not when we were
riotous
comparing organ
weekend.
donor cards, like normal people.
Oh yeah, we did. We
That was why we were comparing driver's licenses.
God.
organ donor cards.
Oh, mine had Welsh on it. Yes,
did have
yes,
Welsh.
yes.
Did.
We're still into it. It's still a fun bit for us.
And then your wallet was huge.
Oh, yeah,
We were
yeah.
comparing
Oh,
wallets,
yeah.
and yours was beastie,
I
and mine
carry
was
a really
small.
chunky wallet, yeah.
But we find this so interesting about each other. I honestly
interesting.
find anything interesting about you.
Rachel has like the slimmest
Aw.
like
I'm the
card
tiniest,
wallet,
teeniest one.
and there's me with like a brick.
We were laughing because yours was huge, Rachel's was really thin, and mine was somewhere in the middle,
Yes.
which just explains this dynamic to a
whole-
fucking T.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my God. Right. Well, there's probably going to be 2 quacks in the cold open, which it's been a good one. All right.
Double quackage.
Yeah.
Stop
To cover
being funny.
to cover
we
the
need to start
libel.
the podcast.
Oh no!
2 quacks, no libel.
Twice, no,
Stop.
Before we get on to the topic,
Yeah.
do we need to acknowledge like what we were watching last night? Just I feel like it's so much
Yes.
the lore of this podcast that
Yes.
we can't
Oh.
just gloss over it like it wasn't like a pretty big moment in all our lives.
Should I do the intro and then I can lead us into
Yes,
talking
yes.
about it? It's like we did something.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That
I was
has
trying
changed
not
us
to make it sound
forever.
incredibly weird.
yes.
Right.
Okay.
I'm like, tease that we did something cool, but like,
Don't make it sound
keep the
sinister.
sort of normality within certain parameters.
Right. Okay. I'm going to do my first ever Indieventure intro off the cuff. So let's see how this goes. All right.
Woo!
Hello, everyone.
The immediate look away.
It's because I said Indieventure, and then when I started talking, I was like,
Is it because
Is it-
I'm like trying to attempt like hard eye contact with you just to
No,
weird you out.
I can do it while doing hard on time with you.
okay,
It's because
okay.
I thought the podcast was called Indiscovery, and
Oh,
I thought I got the name wrong. Am I going to do this intro while staring you in
I
the
think
eyes?
so.
Okay, I guess this is how.
Okay, yeah, we're like, because we're not going to make it weird, right?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Indieventure. I am literally staring Rebecca in the eye.
And
with
I'm
no
should
break.
not be allowed to do this in person.
And I don't know where to look. I'm just looking around.
This is the problem when there's three of you.
Oh my
Two people
God.
delve into a weird bit off the cuff and the other
God.
person's
And
just...
I'm just like,
in the
okay.
Are we married now?
Am I the child?
I think that might have been the dynamic for a while. Rachel.
There's a hole. I'll climb into it.
Fucking hell. Right. I'm just
Okay,
going
right.
to. Right. Hello. Welcome to Indieventure. We're in the same room. Predictably, this is what's happening. Rebecca's not even trying to look at
I'm
me
trying
now.
to physically block you from my sight. See if that helps.
We are doing a Vault episode, and at some point, I don't know when, because it's been 20 minutes, we will talk about a video game. But I don't think it's going to be for a while yet. We thought a Vault episode in person would be fun. I think
Yes.
it's already proven that it will be.
Yeah.
And today we've got a focused Vault topic, which is something that we've always feels weird to be serious. We've got a
So
focused
focused.
Vault topic that we are going to put games in the vault that we deem to be our earliest indie game loves, which I think is going to lead to some very interesting conversation.
Yes.
And we will get to that very soon. But last night, we did something. Last night, we reached a new milestone in our podcast friendship because we watched the Ace Attorney movie
Yes!
together. And it was one of the best things I think I've ever done in my entire life.
It was a great time.
Oh my fucking God. Who wants to go first just talking about this piece of art?
Right,
that we
Rebecca,
all
please.
witnessed
I don't
together?
know.
I was going to say, because it was the third time I've seen it, but the first time both of you have seen it.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've kind of already gone over my impressions a couple of times on the podcast. Like, so...
I think you did not go into the details that I
I mean,
think.
I didn't want to spoil it for you.
No.
'Cause I knew we'd watch it together at some point.
But if you told me it started in hell,
First, no joke, 10, 15 seconds?
yeah,
Hell.
it's in
Ghosts.
hell. Yeah,
It's just
talking to
Straight
someone.
up canonical Ace Attorney hell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you queue in hell.
Yeah.
Rebecca turns to us and goes, never going to see that again. Just like, what?
She started by looking at us and saying, "This is canonically hell," and we were like, "Excuse me," and then you were like, "Yeah, that's never coming up again." We're like, what? It is like there's so many parts of this movie. I think when you look at like screenshots of it, and you put this well yourself when we're watching it, you said it looks like they're kind of like doing incredibly good cosplay, and yes, they do. Everyone is wearing a wig. And those wigs have no movement, no matter how much they move themselves.
Cement.
Yeah,
Cement.
so much gel.
Extreme
and
anime
clips.
hair throughout.
Incredible. Like, they have not said, how do we apply the hairstyles of Phoenix Wright to a human being? They've just said, put them on them and we'll make it work.
Physics? Don't know her.
Doesn't matter. But at the same time, they've taken certain liberties with the law and setting of Phoenix Wright by setting it in a dystopian society.
I mean, I feel like that's actually implied by the games, but that you see more of it.
I mean, it's
you're
like,
more aware of it in the film.
It's like a rundown city.
It is a lot grungier than the
So
games. Like the games always
grungy.
look really clean.
They
Whereas
do,
There's, like,
yes.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
grime in that. There's a surprising amount of grime in that film.
a huge amount of grime.
Absolutely.
And bird shit. Grime and bird shit.
So much. bird
So
shit.
much bird
I mean,
shit.
it's a fucking parrot. What are they going to do?
So it covers is it 2 cases from the original game?
Mainly 2 cases.
Two,
So
yeah.
like all 4 of the original cases are represented, but 1 and 3 are very like brief. It's mainly 2 and 4 from the original game.
And it goes places that you would not believe. It has some genuinely scary moments in it.
Yes.
Oh, there's full on horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there are always ghosts in Ace Attorney, but like scary ghost
That-
design.
Yeah, but they're not presented like they are
Yeah,
in.
no. And she wasn't even being channeled. She was just he was seeing his wife's ghost and she got a birdcage for her head. And she was all very like Ringu, wasn't she? She's like black and white and like
Very.
sort of very
Yes, it
flickery
Very
was.
Ringu.
and like
yeah.
spooky. And she's just there like, I love you. Like,
It's
In the
horrific.
courtroom, Like, this courtroom has seen some major, like, batshit wild situations.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. The film was so much fun. I didn't quite know what to expect going. I thought it would be a bit campy, but it was so off the wall, and I had no idea. And, like, the bit with the blue badger being a broom.
Oh, my God.
What is that about?
So the blue badger is a mascot in Ace Attorney for the police force, right? And there's someone dressed in a blue bastard?
The blue bastard.
A blue badger costume. And at one point they stop the judge, who, by the way, did not care.
Oh, absolutely not.
The judge
Zero
gives
energy.
nothing for the whole thing. And it's quite the take, and I don't hate it.
I know, Rose. It's like, you're on board, I think.
Really, yeah.
So good.
He goes to commit Miles Edgeworth to death. Funny. And then the blue badger puts his hand in front of the gavel, which I believe is legally binding. And then you assume there's a human being in there, but then his head falls off and it was a broom. And it continues. The movie continues.
Yeah, you never see the blue badger again. Like, the blue badger has been like a constant presence for quite a while in that film.
Completely.
Head falls off, and then that's just it.
And that's it.
No one reacts.
Yeah. I assume he goes to hell.
I guess.
Who knows?
It seems to be where people go.
If you're an Ace Attorney fan, I know that some of our listeners are. If you're like, oh well, I know that there's a movie, but I've played the games, and maybe it's like a little bit like, you know, not that worth watch this fucking movie.
Still, you've got it.
There's so much we haven't even mentioned here. There's some stuff I'm not going to mention because you kind of need to, like, what happens in the courtroom, that you need to watch and be like, what the fuck is happening now?
Yeah.
Like, it is. I loved it. I'm not even just saying that. It was like watching that was one of the best experiences I've had with a movie in my life.
Unironically, the best video game adaptation movie. I will bang this drum. It is so good.
In terms of enjoy, I was locked in the whole time.
Like, it is
me
not
too.
for people who aren't fans of the franchise, but if you like those games,
Yes.
100%.
Oh, you have to play the games, otherwise you wouldn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah, my mum, bless
so
her,
lost.
watched it with me, having not played the games, and she loves movies anyway. But it was my birthday, so she kind of had to. But then she was like, I sort of turned to her and was like, "What did you think?" Because I'd not seen it before. This was the first time I'd seen it. I was like, "What did you think?" And she's like, I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on, but I did enjoy it. It was very fun.
Oh,
like,
bless her.
Thanks, Mum.
So good.
But yeah, I think the only other thing to like say that's like delivers the tone without giving spoilers is the fact that the parrot who plays Polly the parrot, the witness, Polly the
my
parrot,
God.
was very much. I don't think that animal was trained to be on a movie set.
Fully attacked the Phoenix Wright actor.
Several times. And they just left it in.
The bit where the parrot jumps on his shoulder and you can tell the actor is laughing. Like the actor is reacting like this is a bird that has caused problems. And then he keeps the scene going.
Yeah.
And
like props to him until it fucking flew in his face and they hard cut away from it, which is just really
so
good.
Funny that they left it.
Do we retake it? No, we just hard cut away. We finished his line. Like
Yeah.
that's fine.
Like, that's a good shot. That's a good take. Moving on.
We do not have the space to do an extra div filming. Like, we need to wrap this up pronto. Do you know how much Miles Edgeworth's static hair costs us per
Oh
day?
my God. This hair in 24 hours will fall flat. We need this done today.
The glue is incredibly toxic.
If you want any lights on in this set right now, everyone's melting.
Baking.
Fused to their heads.
Scalped all those actors. Absolutely no hair by the end of that filming.
Oh my God.
It's so good. But there was no men kissing, so it's a bad Phoenix Wright adaptation.
Yeah, I did kind of lie to get these two into the door.
You promised me that those boys would smooch.
I mean, I think
and
it's
they did
implied.
nothing of the sort.
It's very heavily implied.
Lots of longing gazes.
Oh,
yeah,
lots
there's a
of
lot of
gazes,
lots
yeah.
of those, but no gazes.
Pretty good.
Nice. I like it.
No gazes. Yeah, and yearning, lots of yearning.
Oh,
Lots of
so
yearning.
much yearning.
Lots of like two men on different sides of a glass wall looking at each other and being like, "No, you can't help me. I want to help you." Ah, great. But yeah, no kissing.
And one moment of that, but one of them is fetal position on the floor. I'll let you guess which one.
The answer may surprise you.
It's not the prosecutor who's good at his job.
I just remember a great moment when we were watching Liam. He was like, "Go on, Phoenix, just one thought once in your life, baby girl, you can do it. I believe in you."
He's particularly done in the movie in a way that I find incredibly endearing.
It's so true. I never really realized. Like every time I watch it, I like realize something else about how weird it is.
Mm-hmm.
And on this watching it was that like when you're playing as, I think it's quite clever in a way. When you're playing as him, you make realizations for him, but with no player, just the universe throws information at him because he cannot work shit out for himself.
The number of rustled papers and just fetal positioning, and at one point just crying behind the bench in the courtroom. It's like, okay, girl, that's so good. That's so good.
He spends more time than in the games waiting for ghosts to give him the answers. By a significant margin.
Is incredibly true. I mean, the classic Ace Attorney bit is that for the majority of the time Phoenix is in the courtroom, he's just staring silently while he has a load of thoughts in his own head. Yes. And I assume everyone's just like, Mr. Right? Are you? So I guess they kind of do portray that in some ways. By how much
very faithful to the game.
He writhes around on his side of the courtroom.
So much writhing around.
Yeah, the way they were directed to be okay, so at this point the sprite is really freaking out, but it's this game from 2001, and so there wasn't much movement. So imagine there's just a frantic amount of movement around this very, very odd pose.
Oh my
Great
God.
pointing though. Lots of very cool pointing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They had the pointing down, didn't they?
Yeah.
They
and
did.
they say objection, and you're like, oh,
yay. Yeah.
They say that in the game.
They said the thing. Oh, they did the thing.
They did the thing.
They did it.
I think I shouted that when he said objection.
You
didn't I,
did.
the first time?
He did it.
But no, fuck, what a movie. Genuinely, you should see it. You make sure you play the first game and then get on that immediately.
Yes.
You'll have the time. You watch it with friends as well. You've got to watch it with other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Right, yeah. Well, we couldn't have started this podcast without talking about the fact that we watched that movie. It feels very essential to the lore. Shall we now attempt to talk about indie games where we don't have some kind of breakdown after 30 seconds of a point?
We can try.
Yeah.
We can certainly try.
There's always a first time.
So we are once again cracking open the Indieventure Vault. It's been 8 months. I think we did last one in January.
Yes.
Did we really?
I think it was one of the first episodes of the year.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah, a long time ago. So it's a bit dusty. The vault has remained... Oh, she's opening it.
Okay, there we go.
Here we are. I run and immediately jump in the pit.
Oh, in the pit.
I'm in the pit.
Oh no, is it dried out because it's so warm at the moment?
It is very warm.
It's just it's not even a soft fall.
I break my leg immediately.
No.
You and Paradise Killer just at the bottom.
My fall was cushioned by dredge. I'm fine.
Absolutely shocked that it's been 8 months. I really thought it was April or
Look at
May.
all these games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we added dredge in because of the Game of the Year episode,
God, of course
didn't
we did. Oh
And,
my God, what is life?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
like
fine.
I said at the start, we are doing it slightly differently. We're doing a themed vault where we're all going to pick a game that is related to a certain period in our gaming history. I think it'd be great if we could maybe actually talk about where we were at that point in our lives and what that game meant to us and why it became a favourite. And then we'll hoy it in the vault.
Nice.
Which is, as we're wont to do, in my pit. Could have phrased that better.
Oh my God.
Throw it into the hole in the ground. You have a lovely bookshelf.
I have mine is like a glass cabinet of just very pristine.
That's it.
Yeah. Mine is, and it's raised off the floor. It's eye level.
I feel like mine is maybe the bookshelf.
Yours is the
Yours
bookshelf.
has merchandise on it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's
it
how we
does.
say
It has
with the
It
trays.
has merch and it has the special editions of each limited run or whatever of every game. Yeah.
Mine has fingerprints all over it.
Ugh, gross.
He says from the pit.
I say a pit of loose Switch cartridges.
Oh my God. Oh.
So do we want to expand on the lore of the vault?
I think this is the hook. Go back and listen to the previous Vault episode and then realize that it was actually a sequel to another thing that we did.
Yes.
So go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you in a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we say that we put a bit of loose cardboard over the discovery part with Venture?
Yes.
When Rachel opened the door just now, I did see it. Just
it just kind of
Oh.
fell a little bit. So we're just gonna. I'll go find some tape.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Careful though, there's an IGN lawyer sniffing around outside. Nothing. This is
I can't say anymore.
Sir, move along quickly. Nothing to see here.
It's a totally different podcast.
What are you talking about? Look at the sign. Get the bat! Get the bat!
I am now hiding in the pit.
Yeah.
I can't be seen here.
All podcasts have hyperfixation sections. It's fine. It's legally distinct.
Oh, they do. They just don't call it that. I just want to admit it.
So, who would like to go first?
Well, whose came out first? Should we do it that
okay,
way?
good point. Let's
Okay.
all. I'm gonna refer to mine.
So mine
Usually I
was
have a whole PC. Now I've got my
2013.
phone.
Mine was 2012.
Mine was also 2012. Tell a lie. I thought it was 22.
Mine was October.
March.
So,
Oh, you first,
Rebecca,
babes.
you go first.
Okay, going first. Well, I'm actually really happy to be able to submit this one to the vault because when we did our last episode, I had a short list of 3 that I really struggled to choose between. I eventually chose Hades, which I do not regret at all. I think of the 3 that I had, it fit the theme that we were doing then
Absolutely.
the best. But this one is one that I've been so keen to get into the vault because it's like such a hugely important game to me, and it is genuinely, I think, one of the best games of all time, which is Journey. So yeah, Journey. This is kind of a weird one for me because, like, I know I've talked before about like how Monster Prom was the first indie that I really like fell in love with, understanding what indies were and like knowing the indie market. But like 5 years before that, I realized I got a PS3. Well, really, my partner and I got a PS3, I guess, for Christmas that year. You know, that was like when we were. To be fair, at that point, we weren't big into video games. We did play games. But both of us were at a point where we kind of dropped off being like big into games the way we were when we were younger. So we probably between us at that point owned about 12 video games. You know, it was like not a big thing for us really. But we wanted a Blu-ray player, and we worked out because PS3 was like so far in its lifespan. We were like, a PS3 is actually cheaper at this point than a Blu-ray player that does the same thing. So we're like, we'll get a PS3. We asked, his parents gave us one for Christmas, and we bought a few games, and we'd heard great things about BioShock.
Yes.
So we went and bought BioShock 1 and 2, 3, Infinite rather wasn't out yet. So we got the 2 BioShocks, which we loved. That's a whole other how we got big into games again story. But alongside those, we got Journey, which we just thought looked cute. And yeah, I've got really fond memories just of that time in our lives because it was like I was doing like my postgraduate studies. We had like a couple of housemates in and out who we are still really, really good friends with. And like, it was just us in this like kind of nice time in our lives with the space to like get back into gaming. And it was like that era generally with like Portal 2 and getting into the BioShock series and Journey that really got us back into gaming in a much bigger way. And now look, I work in the games industry, so that's like that's where that's the thing we were talking earlier about, like the domino effect of like random things.
Yes.
We want to watch Blu-rays and I end up as a games journalist.
Can you remember what Blu-rays it was?
I think it was probably MCU because we were really big into like up to like the end of like the end game phase. We were very, very big into. I mean, we still like it, but we're happy to let it kind of drop off a bit more now as it sort of like winds down. But we were like hardcore MCU fans for that first run, and so we were like, let's watch some, let's get the whole MCU on the really fancy Blu-rays with all the extra like bells and whistles and all the like little mini episodes that they did to tie it all together. And it's like such a good era. And then like kind of incidentally, we were just like, hey, we'll try some like PlayStation games that we haven't had access to. And yeah, Journey is just like, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what to expect. I, as I said, didn't really learn what an indie game was for another 5 years. That sort of tells you how vague the concept was for me at the time. But yeah, it was a PlayStation 3 exclusive, which I only remembered a few minutes ago when I Googled it. For a very, very long time, it was a PlayStation exclusive. It only came out to some of the platforms, I think PC and mobile in 2019.
Oh, it's on mobile now.
Yeah,
wow.
I think, hold on. I've got the Wikipedia article, if I can just tell you.
Yeah, I know it was definitely PlayStation exclusive for a long time.
Yeah, it was. They obviously brought it to the PS4 like a couple of years later. But yeah, Windows and iOS, so it's not even on Android.
Because their other game that came out for mobile wasn't,
I guess
it? So maybe they released
right, that
Journey.
makes sense.
It's by
Sky.
that game company and they did Sky Children of the Light, which is like a. If we ever talk free indies, that'd be a really interesting one.
Oh yeah, it would actually.
Yes.
But also they did like Flow and Flower, and they've got a lot of like these very distinctive art style to them, I think, as well. That very like pastel, like gentle, but not super cutesy, just like quite dreamlike. I think is the probably big thing that they do. But yeah, this was I didn't read the entire Wikipedia article because we were about to come record, so I'm like I could probably give a more interesting rundown on the history of how this kind of like fairly obscure studios indie ended up as a PlayStation exclusive for like 5 years. I don't know, unfortunately, more than 5 years, isn't it? 2012 until that's 7 years.
I
think it was in the era of where self-publishing wasn't as accessible. So this was back when Steam, you could only really get your game on Steam if you knew someone who worked for Valve.
Yeah, I guess Steam being its infancy was like a huge factor.
Well, remember Steam Greenlight?
Yes.
Yeah, that was sort of like the first attempt from Valve to try and let people self-publish on their platform.
Oh, yes.
So before then, I think that might be a slight hyperbole, but what I've heard is that you had to have a contact at Valve to get your game on there.
Oh my god,
that's wild! I had no idea about that.
Absolutely.
I could draw the line between like Steam not being such a incredible, like obviously incredible. Morally, we'll kind of leave that grey, but like in terms of its reach and influence, like this incredibly overwhelming like platform for indies, as it is now, even like with itch.io and the alternatives you have. But like, it's just really interesting. Like the Sony, and now you do have more. Like AAA publishers getting back into like trying to hoover up the good indies as well.
Yeah,
things have come full circle a little bit, I guess. But yeah, Journey is just like, it's such a weird game to try and describe to someone who's never seen it. But it's basically it's a very it's a sort of not really narrative. It's very narrative heavy, but wordless. And it's like sort of exploration-y and like platformery, but like you're sort of mostly skating and skiing around these areas. Where you play as a genderless and indeed armless figure, just in a big red robe. I'm sure I've made a joke about that before on one of our more flippant episodes. I'm absolutely sure of it. But yeah, you're playing as this person who is like making this journey towards a mountain. You can sort of see that you start in a desert. It's very barren. There's like significantly no vegetation except a single flower, which is a reference to their other game Flower, which I think is like hidden. I've never actually found it, but I know it's there.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure. I hope I just made that up. I'm sure that's the thing. You know when you're so sure until you say it, and then you're like, that could have just come from anywhere. And as you're exploring, you find like a lot of gravestones, things that like begin to tell this story of what's happened. And at periodic points throughout, you find these wall murals that then lead to these little cutscenes that light up and like kind of tell this story of what turns out to be the fall of the civilization of your protagonist. And it remains fairly like the details of the story. I think even by the time you get to the end, you'll have a really good sense of what happened, but the details are left obviously very vague by the fact that there's no dialogue and no text really in the game. It just tells this story of like the kind of rise and fall of a civilization, and you sort of get the very strong sense that you're like really near the end of something. Yeah, playing as this character. But the interesting thing is, although it's like very lonely, and I think that is a lot of the point of the game, it is actually an online multiplayer game as well, which I didn't even realize because I didn't really like this. I was so new to play. Well, I had a PlayStation 2 a long time before. But like PS3 and its online functionality, like I was not at all aware of what that was about.
This is like your first like online console.
It's my first online console.
Yeah.
We had a Wii, but we didn't really. It wasn't quite the same.
I mean, barely online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This was the first time I'd had anything that you could just end up. I'm like, suddenly there's another person.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because I'd seen Mick play it offline. When we first got the PS3, we didn't take it online. And so he just played Journey as a single player game. Yeah. But then when I started playing it, brought it online for some reason. And so to just have another person like show up was really, this didn't happen before. I didn't really understand why it happened.
Yeah.
And then you start like sort of making that little chiming noise at each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's so between players, you can have 2 players in the same instance of Journey if it's online. And there's no way to like communicate with them. I think the only thing that at the end you do find out like their player ID.
Oh yeah, you do
at the very end. Yeah.
But until you get to the end, and you'll see like, and if you like met up with multiple people, it'll tell you everyone that you played with. But until then, there's no like in-game chat. Obviously, there's no like voice or text chat or anything to identify this other person. And you'll sort of go through, and some of the puzzles are a little bit easier to solve if there's 2 of you, or just like generally if someone's played it a lot and they're in with someone who's quite new to the game, people will help out.
Yes.
And it's just kind of like the thing that always gets me is this idea of, because of the fact that you can't communicate, it is so purely cooperative. Like they very deliberately didn't want you to be able to communicate. It's one of the things, sadly, that I think was a design factor in that was like, you know, you can't grief another player, you can't cause problems and be antisocial, really. There's no way you can fuck the other person up in Journey.
No.
You can only help or ignore each other are basically your 2 options. But one thing that always really gets me is that you get to the end of the game, and it became really common apparently in the community to like communicate a message, because at the very end you're in a very snowy part of the mountain right before you go into like the final sort of cutscene. You're in a very snowy mountain, and your character leaves a mark when they move around. They like leave not footprints, but like a drag mark essentially, because they're like they're skiing around. And so you could draw something. People worked out you could draw something on the last bit of the mountain, and so that people started doing like, I'm going to leave a message for the other player. And I just thought it was always really got me that like most people drew a heart. Because it's just like a very like simple thing that you can do, and it's just, I think it's really moving. I think it's very in line with the message of Journey, to say like, you know, when you kind of strip away every ability to identify another person and you just kind of know that there's another human being there, most people chose like a small act of kindness, which I think was just like a really really meaningful thing, and it really ties in with a lot of what the game, I mean, I think, you know, the theme of the game is kind of open to interpretation. In terms of like, I've heard people saying like they interpret it very much as being about grief. Other people have said it's about, you know, coming to terms with your own mortality, which I think both are incredibly like good reads. But because of the fact that it's told wordlessly, I think you bring your own reading onto it depending on where you were in your life when you played it. But I think that generally just the idea of it being about like being kind of like graceful and accepting that things end, and also that like things ending isn't like it's a lot about also, because the very ending is kind of like rebirth and like renewal as
cycles.
well. So I think it's just like a very sweet contemplative game about, you know, just being human really. And also you fly around on magic scarves and see scarf squids. But also there's one last thing about it, which is maybe for me the most influential part of it really. The soundtrack. One of the best, if not the best, video game soundtrack I've ever heard.
It's up there. Austin
Wintry.
Yeah.
And all of it's beautiful. And it's like, it's all, I didn't really realize I was reading earlier, like how dynamic it is, because I've not played this game in a few years. Like the fact that the music is dynamic to your actions, and like at one continuous score that responds to what you're doing at any given time is amazing. The bit I always remember is the song that plays at the end, which is I Was Born for This, which is the only part with lyrics.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of the vocalist, but it's a female vocalist who sings this song that's in about 5 or 6 different languages. And it's all poetry quotations, like from so there's like some like Japanese haiku, there's some like old English, I think it's Beowulf that's in there. There's like some quotes from Joan of Arc, which I think are really amazing. And it's just like weaves together all of these like various historical quotations about, you know, that kind of reinforce the themes of the game. And again, quite a like, it's not very explicit what the meaning is, but it's like really interesting to just listen to and learn, especially when you sort of like begin to dig into what other languages have to say about it. It's just like so incredibly beautiful. Like this is kind of morbid, but this is like, you know, when you hear something like, genuinely for years I've been like, that's the song that I would want at my funeral, if, you know. It's just like got this, because again of that theme of like endings, but like don't be, you know, it's ordinary, it's like it's okay to be sad when something ends, but like don't be like defeated by that sadness, I guess, because there's like always a future of some kind. And like, I thought, it's really meaningful in that way. And just a beautiful song as well.
Yes.
And it's led me to so many quotes that I love that I didn't know before as well. So when you
really?
see it in translation, it's like, you're like, oh, that's so interesting. Like the Joan of Arc one in particular, I really love, which is I think it's what the song takes its name from. But I'm not going to attempt it in French.
Yes.
Good God, I dropped that thing at GCSE level.
Can you imagine if you just dropped that in perfect French right now, girl?
I have not spoken French in like 20 years. Don't make me do it. But I really love the quote, which is, "Don't pity me, I was born to do this," which I think is so
that
good.
goes so hard, doesn't it?
It's so good. And yeah, I love that game, and it's going in the vault.
Yeah, I've not met one person who's like, you know what, that game sucks.
It's not exactly a controversial opinion, is it? It's like, oh, Journey.
No, it
It's
feels like
so
a red
good.
flag if someone said,
Oh,
I don't like
absolutely.
Journey.
Yeah, that
like,
beautiful game about cooperation and the human
Yeah.
condition. Yeah, no, I didn't really rate it.
Yeah, it also, what I like about Journey as well, and why it's good for the vault, is that it speaks to something about the history of indie games, in that it was
Yeah.
like nothing anyone had played when it first came out.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
not.
Like this conversation about are video games art, which is obviously very redundant. Journey was like a talking point for that conversation. Like the games were released around there, like some of them you mentioned earlier as well, but nothing was like this game.
No.
And so it hit people in so many different ways. And I think that's what was really, for me as well, like I was the same. I think I played it like a year or two later and I was like, this is something else. This game is wonderful.
And I mean, it has been super
So
lauded, right,
artful,
as well.
yes.
It's like, it is recognized as, like, I was just reading some of the accolades of one of the best video games, listed as the best game soundtrack by, I think, Push Square put it down as like the best game soundtrack PlayStation. It's like hard agree. Like one of the most lauded games, like I was looking at the BAFTA stats that I keep on my desk. I'm like,
of course,
it's
yeah.
up there in that as well. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely got the recognition it deserved. And like,
Yeah. You're right. Like, I remember downloading it the day it came out.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember why. It's weird. I wonder if maybe there was a bit of like pre-release hype about it, or maybe a lot of people were talking about it. And I mean, I was always quite big on the PlayStation Store because I had a PS3 from pretty much when it came out. And it's interesting what you're saying about how you didn't really think of this as an indie, because I did not think of this as an indie either. It was just like, oh, it's a downloadable game. Xbox has these.
Yeah.
But PlayStation was in such a weird place at that point, because with their downloadable games especially, I think the PS3 was trying to cultivate a sense of classiness to try and distinguish itself from Xbox, because Xbox was so far ahead. So when PlayStation were commissioning these games, especially these independent games, they were doing things like Flower. So Flower was the first one I played by that game company, and I loved that game. So when Journey dropped, I was all in already, because it had that that classiness that PlayStation was trying to do, and I was already a fan of the other work. And this game just absolutely floored me. Like, I had suffered a loss in my family about a couple of weeks before this game came out.
Oh, wow.
And that, I don't think I really connected with like the sense of overcoming grief or the tone or the theme of that until maybe when I played it through the second time. But the ending of this game just broke my heart, and the mixture of the music and just that, there was so many, this was the era of online multiplayer, accessible online multiplayer on console, right? It was, we were still very early in that period of time where we were able to access online communities for, with very little barriers, especially on PlayStation where it was free, right? But,
God, it was,
but
wasn't it?
interacting with someone in that way, in that raw, helpful way, like you said.
Yes.
It was just, this is such a special game. It really is. And I think it might be timeless. I just...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a very
Agree
fair
with that.
description.
Yeah.
Which is why it's going in the vault. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Sealed for all of time.
I know.
Fling it in.
I'm just holding it, like putting it on the shelf.
Yeah, when you said that was going to be your pick, we were all just like, yeah, absolutely.
There was absolutely no point where
yeah.
that wasn't... Yeah.
That was going in the vault at some point.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
Of course it was. Yeah. Because such an important part of indie history.
Yeah.
We have to represent that at some point. So definitely.
I've got the Journey soundtrack on vinyl. I've only
Do
got
you?
one vinyl ever in my life.
Oh my
And it's the Journey
And it's the
soundtrack.
Journey one. And
Wow.
as the record spins, the little person, their scarf goes around the outside of the vinyl.
that's
So
so
when it
cute.
spins, and honestly, I'm not really into vinyl. My dad had a record player, so I was like, I'll get the. My God, those deep bass cello notes at the beginning of that soundtrack on vinyl. I was like, oh, I get why people listen to vinyl now. This sounds incredible.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Yeah. That's a good OST.
It's beautiful. I'm glad Journey's in there.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm so happy
Absolutely.
too.
I say I'm now
qualms about that.
like a lot of satisfaction in getting that one in. Like probably if I find a way to just work Hellblade into the next. So I maintain the first Hellblade was indie, the second one absolutely not. But like,
I mean, you saw how Rachel reacted yesterday when I said Peggle. So
I was like, excuse me.
if she lets you put Hellblade in, I'm gonna feel a little bit hard done by.
Peggle though. That unicorn is. I hate it.
Wait, hold on. I thought your reason was that it's owned by EA now. Is your reason is you just don't like the unicorn?
Maybe it is. It's creepy, and every time I'm in our vault, I don't want to be looking at that ugly unicorn.
I want that unicorn will live in the vault.
No.
That unicorn already lives in the vault. It's security.
Actually, would scare anyone off. Anyway, it's so cursed. And the gopher, you know what? I'd step on that gopher. I'd boot that gopher. Those characters in Peggle are so vile.
You know what? I will give you that. The characters in Peggle are horrific. There's not a thought behind that unicorn's eyes.
No.
And there never is. We're real deep into Peggle now. This could not be more opposite to... I was captivated by you talking about
like
Journey there. I was like, wow, you've really summarized this game. And now we're like, that unicorn has never had a thought in its life.
Fuck that gopher.
I would kill the gopher with a hammer. Thank you.
I'd put the gopher through the Peggle machine. I'd shove his body through the Peggle machine.
yeah, just
And watch his eyeballs ping around, and I'd get 100 both times.
Jesus, Rachel.
That's why Rachel's submitting the mangled corpse of a gopher as her vault pick for this episode.
Oh my god. It is just this tonal thing. This whole like a minute ago I'm like trying not to cry talking about a game that's like so emotional and like now here we are. Like this is just like the Ace Attorney movie. We cannot maintain a tone for more than like 2 minutes at a time.
We're so whiplash.
Should we one day do a list of the indie game characters we'd most like to kill with a hammer? Do you think that would be good?
Because it would be long though. That was the thing. I can think of 3 off the bat. Timmy the Terrible Boy, probably
Timmy?
Harold. You would put Harold.
That's such
Harold.
a good one though.
You would absolutely beat the shit out of Harold Halibut. We know this.
No, the game, not Harold himself.
Oh, okay.
You're acting like I'm like hate criming Harold off the podcast. Like,
I did the gopher.
like
I don't think I should say mine because it's
I'd
so
end that
psychotic.
gopher.
who's yours?
Okay.
We're there. The tone is set.
The tone is set. So one of the few characters in video games I honestly hate with all of my heart and soul. We've agreed before that Frogwares counts, right, for the purpose of our podcast.
Oh my god.
Fucking Caitlin in Sherlock Holmes, the Devil's Daughter.
Is that the child?
Yeah, the child.
The kid,
I was trying to find a way to kill that kid in that game.
When she was in that fire, I was like, leave her.
Yeah.
Leave her.
Yes, I tried to leave her. I tried to leave her in the fire. I tried so hard.
She is annoying.
I hate her so much.
Between that character, Tim, who we call a boy, and if that gopher is also a child, we might have to have a word with ourselves.
Oh my god!
Okay, the thing is,
if
she'd spoken or acted like a child, I would have had a certain amount of sympathy. But the grown woman who just decided to do an annoying voice, I'm sorry. Like, I'm glad you got paid. Like, I'm glad that like you had your
I love that you're congratulating her with an angry tone.
Like,
that's so you.
I'm
glad you did well for yourself and you're advancing in your
genuinely,
career.
I hope the payout was good and that your career is going where you want it to. But man, I fucking hate that kid.
I can't believe that the reason you wouldn't let me put Peggle in, one of the greatest like arcadey puzzle games ever made, is because you want to kill the character.
I just, Peggle just...
It's, you know what now? It's because I'm, the way that we're sat in this room, I'm kind of looking out the window and you guys aren't so much. And I'm like, out of the darkness, I can just see those 3 characters like looming.
Oh my god!
Like,
the unicorn.
Caitlin's all fucked up and burned, and the gopher's like all mangled, and oh no.
No, I go on Steam and I see the stupid thumbnail for Peggle, And I'm just like, what is it? What are you?
I need to see the
Stop.
thumbnail now.
Yeah, the unicorn's in the thumbnail, and I'm just like, and it might be in the Peggle 2 one as well.
Peggle 2 is a different thing. We don't talk about Peggle 2.
Do we not?
Okay.
No,
it
doesn't exist.
Not.
Doesn't exist.
Maybe do talk about one aspect of Peggle, whatever the mobile one was, because it did give birth to the meme where it said Peggle would like to use your phone number, and the tweet was something like, "Yeah, sure, Peggle, you can use my fucking phone number. I don't care anymore." But after Peggle gets brought by EA, it just is floundered.
Okay.
But that first game, and
if you would argue for it to be in the vault, I would listen.
It feels like a real argument.
I would.
It feels like it would have to be a real argument.
Really? Okay. I'd listen for about 10 seconds. then I'd be like, mic drop.
Okay, well, not Peggle.
We've talked about, like, we're obviously not going to name them. We've talked about things that if the other people would put in the vault, we'd be like, I don't think that.
Yeah.
Peggle might be mine.
But I think that'd be a fun conversation to have about it. I think it's the reasons why.
Yes. Are we too much? I'm listening.
I mean, yes, but it's great. So I think
I'm just saying, like, you know what? Maybe it's because we're in person.
I just think in this, the energy is very different. Yes. Being able to look at you directly in the eye and say, "Let me put Peggle in the vault," which is such a nonsense thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters.
So none of this matters. You know what I've just realized is that, like, I am not, because I don't have my desktop with me and I usually have two screens and keyboard. I'm like usually keeping notes at this point of what we're talking about. I'm going to have to listen to the entire insane mix down of this like 3 times.
You're going to have to put Peggle and Peggle 2 in there.
Peggle 2 go in the show notes.
Because Peggle 2 doesn't exist.
Yeah, but it's mentioned. It's games that are mentioned. Go in the show notes.
And on the website.
No, the website is, I only list indie games for the website.
Fair enough. It's going in the description.
And
people liked it. The people want to know.
They do need to know. And I like that you write them down. It's very good work. I do also sometimes change the descriptions for the games. I don't know whether you've ever read the Braid one on the website.
No. Oh, no.
Why?
Hang on.
Wait, get it up. Get it up.
On my phone right
Why?
now.
What does it say?
While Rebecca gets that up on her phone, I think it might be worth just saying a little bit about where we are right now, because we are in a quite a fancy sort of like static caravan park.
It's lovely.
It's very nice.
Everyone here is a little bit older than us, and the window is open. And
it's so hot. We're not just being rude. It's really, really hot.
There is really hot, but there's no lights on in the other vans. But I am curious as to. I think she's found my Braid description. She'd like to read it out.
Shall I just show it to you, Rachel, and then we can read it out. So yeah, according to our website.
Oh my god!
Braid is a game about killing a boy named Tim with a hammer.
My website.
My website. My rules. My reality.
I can write whatever I want. John Blow.
Oh god.
So yeah, I'm just wondering if like anyone has their window open because it's a hot night and they can hear us rabbiting on as to whether they're like, what? What's Braid? Why are they talking about killing gophers?
This is the episode early and unedited. Now that's a privilege.
An exclusive look.
We are technically in front of a live audience.
Peggle.
They don't want to be.
You know what? A lot of these people they've been around the vans today and their lights are off. Do you think they're in bed?
They might be. What's the time?
Do you think we should?
It's 10 o'clock. Maybe we should close the window.
Let's shut
I
the
think
window.
probably
quite feral.
I don't think the sound's going to carry that badly, but like
just in case.
Just in case. Although it'd be very funny if an elderly man came knocking on the door.
Off the wind.
And we'd invite him on the podcast.
Yes.
We'd say, "Come on in, Gerald. What's your thoughts about Peggle?"
You know what? People would think it would be you putting on a persona.
It wouldn't, because the voice would sound authentic.
What was it like to be there when video games were invented, Gerald? Like,
yeah. I'm 58. Yes, Gerald.
Just about then, right?
Who's next then? It's you.
It's me. So after Rebecca has put in one of the most beautiful, profound video games of all time into the vault, where it absolutely belongs, and I'm very happy that you two put these games into the vault. I'm here to change the tone completely, because it's just what I do on this podcast, and I am going to submit to the vault Peggle. No.
my God.
Oh, the atmosphere, it dropped 10 degrees in here.
The shook.
I actually got like
Rachel went to leap over the table at me there.
push everything off the table.
it's like being doused in ice water.
That unicorn will never step foot in my vault.
You leave Bjorn out of this.
Literally earlier today, we agreed not to do this so I didn't have to separate you two physically during
Oh,
we did.
Said, should we have a conversation about The Last of Us and Rebecca Mediate? And you went, no, I want to be on a computer for that.
Yeah.
Not
Different
with
sides
you.
of the country, please.
But the game I'm submitting to the vault is Hotline Miami.
Well, what track are you going to use for that?
What track can I legally use for that is maybe the
Really?
question.
Oh,
Because all of it is licensed music. I don't think it's all like...
Is there not like a single, like
There might be... Oh, maybe
The
there's
trailer? Could you use the
like
trailer?
a menu music or something? Because menu music's quite often like...
the menu music is good though.
The menu music is really good.
Doo-doo, boop, bloop, bloop, bloop. I listen to that
Menu
soundtrack
music's iconic
all the
for games
time.
anyway, so...
We're talking about good soundtracks. That one is
Hotline Miami is
incredible.
up there. The music is... Oh, well, I guess I'll get into it. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
yes,
such an
yes.
essential part of the game. So Hotline Miami came out in 2012, the same year as Journey, which is interesting, actually, because I guess it's as important in the history of indie games as Journey, would we say?
I think
or
that's
at least it's as much of like a cultural touch
Like
point.
talked about, yes.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
mean, that's a
absolutely
better way
fair.
of saying it. Yeah. So this came out in 2012. It was made by Denaton Games, I think, which might just be two guys. I'm not too sure who are in that.
Yes.
Normally, I also have my computer open, so I'm looking desperately at
It
you
was
two.
two people. I don't remember their name though.
No,
It was a while. It was a while.
it was a
ago.
while ago.
It was a
Yeah,
while
like
ago.
12 years ago. 12 years ago. Bloody hell. That's actually wild to think about that these games came out 12 years ago.
Oh God, just quaking.
Like these games would be in secondary school if they were human beings.
Stop!
Oh, no.
Stop that! Why did you age them like that?
Second year. So Hotline Miami is a game. It's a fucking hell.
Are you okay?
It's a game.
It's a game. It's a video game.
Isn't it?
Rachel, what are you putting in the vault?
Peggle 2.
You say that to my face. So in Hotline Miami, you play as an unnamed character that the fan community has dubbed Jacket in the intervening years. And you go to these different locations in your DeLorean, because it's set in the 1980s, question mark. And you enter these buildings filled with mobsters wearing pristine white suits, and you murder every single person in there. The game is hyper violent, incredibly challenging. You die in one hit, and you move through these spaces by picking up weapons with limited ammo and attempting to kill everyone to loop your way through these buildings to reach some kind of final goal, whether that be to kill the last enemy and then collect something. And then you walk back out and get in your car, and the mission ends and it gives you a score. As you get scores, you get these animal masks. Each one has a different little perk associated to it. And the violence in this game is crunchy, brutal, and gory, right? Like it's a bloodbath. It really is. You will shoot someone with a shotgun and they'll explode in a cloud of viscera. You will put someone on the ground and stomp their head into just like goo.
Yeah.
It is, well, it's vile. It is. And it's not just that the violence of actually killing these mobsters is horrific. There's also like a visual violence in the way it's presented. You have these layouts in front of you of the rooms that you're moving through, but surrounding them is this pulsing, multicolored, like looping background that is just an assault on the senses.
Yes.
You have all the UI elements that are like changing color and shifting and moving. And on top of this, you have a pulsing soundtrack that is one of the greatest soundtracks ever in indie game history. But it is, again, it's a violent assault on the senses. And playing Hotline Miami is just to be pushed to the limits of what you can visually and audibly take, both in its design, its violence, and its thumping soundtrack. But what's incredible about Hotline Miami is that it will shove all this in your face and then it will pump the brakes immediately. So what's amazing about the soundscape of Hotline Miami is that when you go into these buildings, you kill all these people, you get to the final one and you commit some heinous act of murder against them, suddenly the music just goes. It drops and there's nothing. There's just an ambient noise as you then have to walk all the way back out of the building, past all of this violence, all of this destruction that you've caused. You then get in your car and you drive away. And the way that Hotline Miami tries to hold a mirror up to you to say, are you enjoying this? Do you like this? Feels good, doesn't it? Have you ever thought about if that's okay? And that, I think, is the genius of Hotline Miami. It is incredible fun and it feels great, but it really makes you feel bad about that. And intertwining these missions is this story about this unnamed character who was having hallucinations. Every time he commits these acts of murder, his grip on reality slips further and further away. The violence starts to spill out into like supermarkets. And there is like a little bit of a story around like rescuing a woman and this sort of like rival killer for hire, and trying to evade the police at certain points as well. But I think the story is sort of secondary to just how the game makes you feel. And again, a bit like Journey, not as impactful or as important as Journey, I will say. But I think what was interesting about Hotline Miami, it was one of the first times where I played something and I just thought, wow, you're really criticizing this particular part of the industry while also doing a really great job of, you know, making a game about the thing that you're trying to say is not that great. And it really just landed with me. It really did. It was like, yeah, I really am questioning, like, why is it fun to do this to people? Even if they are, you know, top-down pixelated people. Like, why am I enjoying this? And what does it say about me? And it's just an absolutely stellar experience that I just don't think has aged. The graphics still hold up 12 years later.
Yeah.
That soundtrack is still on regular
so
rotation
good.
for me. And it's just one of those games where you're like, yeah, I totally get why this is so lauded, why it's so special. I originally played it on PC. So I can't remember why I bought this, but I just moved to Manchester. So it was summer 2013 it would have been. So I played it way after it came out then, I guess. And I remember coming home from like a day at work and sitting down at my computer, and it was a hot summer's evening, and booting it up, and that menu screen, the way that it's twisting and turning, and the menu music, which is like surrealist and almost like a little bit spooky.
Yes.
And just being like, what is this like odd artifact that I'm playing? And then immediately, bang, I'm committing heinous acts of violence. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is something special. And it's, I think its legacy as an indie game, like, it is important, I think, in certain ways, because it kind of launched Devolver.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no Devolver without Hotline Miami. It was, I think it was maybe one of the first games, if not the first game that Devolver published.
Yeah.
And so many games like that have these kind of mechanics are just basically cribbing off Hotline Miami as well. I spoke about Angerfoot recently. Like,
oh yes,
there's no Angerfoot without Hotline Miami. And it's interesting because they made a sequel that, like, I don't know if it needed to exist. Like, I know that people like it and that's great, but I think this first game said everything it needed to say straight off the bat.
I almost think the second one undid a lot of what the first one had to say, if
Really?
I'm honest. Yeah. All this talk about violence and everything, and I think the second one absolutely sensationalized that.
Right, okay.
I'm not I'm not really big into the Hotline Miami universe, so I don't quite remember, but I remember playing a bit and then watching someone else play and being a bit like, what the fuck is it? Like, the first one, like you said, is so... makes such an interesting point about violence in games, and the best way that games can do that is to make you feel it viscerally. Like it just feels good and fun to play this game. Yeah, it's like so everything about it, like you said, it just appeals to all the senses. Yeah. Like the blood splatters feel good, the weapons are punchy, like the loop, how quick it is of like if you die immediately you're back. Yes, there is no pause. Nope. It's like they don't want you to reflect or think at all until that moment you talked about of like, this is when that moment happens. Mm-hmm. Everything up to that point is just how quick can I do it? Yeah. How smart can I be, and how much blood can I spill? Yeah. And it's like wonderful, if not really terrifying. Yeah.
Well, that moment, and I think it like almost kind of reflects the main character and what they're going through in terms of their like mental state, is that you're exhilarated to the point where you're just sat there with blood on your hands and you're left to just think, oh, yeah, I did that. Yes. Like, I was excited about the way I could efficiently kill 3 men and a dog. And
oh yeah, there are dogs in that game.
There are dogs. And what's really interesting about Hotline Miami, I think, is that the only game that has ever equaled its, I guess, theme of violence in video games and why is it so accepted is The Last of Us Part 2, a game that actually has a cameo of Hotline Miami.
It does. She's playing it on one of the...
At one point, someone's playing it on the Vita as you sneak up behind her and slit her throat.
Yes.
An innocent person. And that, I think, is such a great use of that game.
It is, actually. I totally forgot that.
Yeah. So interesting.
It's almost like Naughty Dog were like, this will be funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. As we watch Ellie brutally kill someone as someone's playing Hotline Miami.
Oh, I forgot about that. That is such a good point.
It's great.
God damn. Yeah, that... Because I saw my brother play it first, and then I played it, and I just remember being like, this is a lot. But like, I had my favorite mask. I always used Richard the Tiger mask.
Yeah, great mask.
Great mask. And the soundtrack is so good. It just gets you pumped. And we've seen games recently do that. But Hotline Miami was really, games have brought up emotions like for ages and whatever. Yeah. But this is the first one that got me genuinely like hyped and ready to like, and so good. But yeah, kind of scary as well.
Yeah, it is.
What the fuck?
It's sort of like, it makes you feel manic, right? Like it's a powerful trick it's able to pull. Like
it's just so rare as well, I think, in any like area of gaming to be able to like hold a mirror up to the trends in the industry so effectively.
Yes.
I think I do know this game a bit. I think I know it more through its imitators, of which there have been many in the indie space in the intervening years. And like some of them I think have got I'm thinking Ape Out is like a really good example, but like I could just think of so many where it's like it has just taken this sort of like, this is cool kind of approach to what Hotline Miami is doing, and not really like interrogated the, as we said, completely apolitical and not at all introspective message of Hotline Miami. But yeah, I just think I'm always so impressed when a game can like, it is an incredibly hard balancing act to achieve, to make a game that is the thing it's talking about, but is also being critical of that thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I know there are other examples. I'm kind of blanking on anything that could bring up that is as effective in the same way.
Well, I feel like games have like retroactively taken that idea. Like GTA was very much all like, violence is cool. And then Hotline Miami makes a great point, and suddenly it's like, but it was a criticism. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well,
violence is bad in video games. Yeah,
you have to really nail it down, and like I don't feel like many other games have managed to be simultaneously so much do the thing.
Here's a war game. Oh, but war is bad.
Yeah,
war is bad, guys.
That really.
that war you're committing. That's bad.
No, I don't think you understand, Rachel. You see, when you play Call of Duty and you die, it puts a quote on the screen. And you think, yes, this says a lot about war. Oh, cool grenades. But you're totally right. Like you both are totally right. Like I can't think of any real. The GTA one's interesting because I tried to replay GTA 5 this year, and I just could not do it. I could not do it. That game has aged like thematically, that game feels like it's from a different timeline.
Which is so fascinating because it was the similar sort of period to what we're talking about now, right? 2013, it's GTA 5?
It's like...
Yeah. So, yeah, it would have been like, 6-7 months? Or maybe a year after Hotline Miami?
Like tops a year, presumably. Yeah. And
that's actually really interesting because a year after this comes out, we get GTA 5, which literally features a torture minigame in it. If you
with the Trevor, and it is sort of like sold as this like commentary on Trevor and like who he is and like what he does, but also it does cross that line in a way that's not like the game that I'm thinking about in terms of like the way it comments on it, because again going back to like BioShock and the way that comments on like agency in games, but even that I don't think, I love it obviously, but I don't think it holds together as solidly as Hotline Miami in terms of do the thing, it's real cool, you followed the markers, you didn't question it, and then, but you're like, if you try to question it in BioShock, it still happens. Like ultimately, it only works the first time, whereas Hotline Miami kind of just keeps on giving that, it builds, right? And it's still, you still want to go back and do it again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's a cool game. Vaporwave is cool. It's like it's like the cigarettes of the industry. It's like, this is cool.
It absolutely is.
It slaps. It looks great.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is great.
But it had to be cool, right?
Yes.
Because if it wasn't authentically cool, it wouldn't have hit as hard as it did, I don't think. So it's great. It is very of its era. I mean, this came out like a year after Drive. And the similarities between them are quite similar.
Yes.
And it's, I guess maybe like, I think a lot of people were like, oh, this is the Drive video game.
Yeah.
Like, it's very similar to Drive. And probably similar to how, people watch Drive and they're like, oh, wow, cool Ryan Gosling film.
Yes, yes.
Point over their head. Like
a question that really occurs to me is that, like, do we think that because it's an indie, it's able to kind of hold that like critical eye to the industry and to trends in the industry and not pull back in a way that maybe a more like corporately funded game like BioShock did when it was like, critique the system but don't go all the way into critiquing the system?
That's a great question. I mean, probably yes. Just by the nature of indies. I think maybe the only the way that BioShock quote unquote fails with the whole player agency point is just because it's more complex as a game. It has a bunch more narrative than Hotline Miami does, and like 45 minutes after that amazing twist in BioShock has the most rank boss fight in video game history that it ends on. Like, it's literally like, wow, this game says a lot about player agency. Now I'm fighting a giant gold man. Like,
stab him with needles. No, I actually quite like the ending of BioShock, controversially, but like it is not the high point of the game.
Yeah, or the ending, like after you've beat him is fine, but it's just the actual like, I guess this is a video game still.
Yeah,
maybe that's where it kind of
I think it does
apart.
fall down because you're still at the point where you've broken your control.
Yeah,
you still have to do the narratively you're still being pushed through a very linear story and like
absolutely.
Yeah,
so I think maybe by being more scaled back,
that's a really good point,
by leaving so much more up to interpretation, because like BioShock kind of, I was going to say, hits you around the head with it. But like, I think it kind of has to, right? Because it was like a 60 quid AAA game that the developers wanted people to finish. Like, I do think it's very much like, this is the point of this game, which is great. And that's why it's like, persisted in people's minds. But indeed. I think Hotline Miami, a lot of people will play Hotline Miami and be like, this is a very colorful, violent game. I like this. And that's totally fine. Like, that's great. But I think that room for interpretation, I think, makes its message more powerful.
That's really interesting. And that we've both chosen like very, I think actually slight spoiler for Rachel's maybe, we've all chosen from that era quite loose, like in terms of interpretation, in terms of narrative and the way you can read into it.
Wow,
we've all picked games that are very like, sorry to slightly like
we've done it
preempt
again.
your
well done everyone.
Your selection, Rachel.
Oh, I could reach out and we could fist bump each other.
Oh my gosh, we can do this.
Oh, we did it.
Yes!
It would have been very funny if you both left me hanging there though.
just got up, went back home.
Yeah. Walked out into the night. It's so dark out there.
It's quite dark.
If you just walked out and we never saw you again.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, Hotline Miami, good video game.
Into the vault.
Violence nice? Question mark. Into the vault.
Into the pit.
Oh, into the pit. Bye.
Someone pours a bucket of blood into my pit.
Oh God.
At least it's not just grim, solid. Like
what? Yeah, I mean, you're acting like you weren't talking about running a gopher through a Peggle machine, by the way. Like, your tone's changed in 15 minutes. Like,
a bucket of blood in the pit.
It's gopher blood.
Maybe every time we... It's gopher blood. Rachel pours it on me. This is for Peggle, you little shit. I think every time we put a game in the vault, some element of the game should be put in there as well. Like, abstract element. Like how when Peggle goes in there, Bjorn will stare at you the whole time. Bjorn will follow you around the vault.
So is that the unicorn's name? Is Bjorn?
Yeah, Bjorn. Mate, I am so into Peggle. Like, I'm not...
There's lore.
I fucking love...
Peggle has lore.
His name's Bjorn, yeah, and he's like the magic. Maybe he's the main tutor of Peggle Academy.
Peggle Academy, what is happening?
I actually felt like I'm surprised at myself for saying that out loud.
I'm speechless.
That's the maddest thing about it.
Academy.
Yeah, that's where you learn how to do Peggle. That's where you learn how to use Bjorn's super move.
Beyond Superman. I hate this. I'm leaving. I'm going. My Uber's here. Goodbye. I'm leaving.
Good luck getting the taxi around here.
All right, my turn. Let's quickly, swiftly run away from this conversation.
Curb stomp Bjorn on the way out.
My boy!
No! My boy, Father, help!
As you push him through the Peggle machine.
Oh my God!
Let's just step over that corpse and move on.
So, if Journey, the kind of question it poses is, you know, the relationship with video games and art, and Hotline Miami is video games and violence, I like to think that my pick is, what even is a video game? And is this a video game? And, I mean, yes, it is, but this is the conversation happening at the time. And so my pick is Proteus. There is music.
Okay.
Very twinkly music. I'm sure we'd be able to find some.
That would be lovely. It'd just be really funny if it was just like patching some like total silence. Not even like.
I mean, sometimes some of the games we pick, I'm looking on YouTube for like OST and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to like sing a song. Like we're getting a little bit like
you have to karaoke this.
Like, Cocoon is a game.
Oh yeah, that was literally just like echoes and doors opening.
I think I
stuff.
found the one piece of music and played it like twice, didn't I?
So yes, Proteus is my pick. You probably have not heard of it. I don't think many people have. It came out in 2013. It essentially is a walking sim before even that was like, it was maybe a term, but maybe not something that everyone was aware of. You play as something walking around an island that slowly goes through different seasons. And that's basically it. This island is very pretty. There are things to see and do, maybe observe is probably more the better term. So you walk around, you can just go on the beach and there'll be crabs scuttling around. You're like, that's nice. And then you go up to a tree and there's like a twinkly little song. You're like, oh, that's really nice, that is. And then day goes into night and you're like, oh, this is nice. And you're just walking around, and that is the game. You are literally walking around a very pretty island. Sometimes the seasons change. Autumn is very pretty. The island changes. And then it goes to winter, and the game is probably like half an hour tops. And yeah, I fell in love with this weird little game when I first played it. I don't know when I first played it. Probably 2013. So I wasn't I wasn't really into indie games like fully committed yet. I wasn't into locked in. I was kind of dabbling with the Humble Bundles, and I had Steam. I was at university, so I played Proteus and was like, what the fuck? This is like nothing else I've played. You literally don't even do anything. You just have a nice time walking around, and it's awesome. There's no story, there's no dialogue, no characters, no menu screen. There is
really?
nothing. Yeah, there is. The inputs are WSD, and you use the mouse to look around. That there's no, you can't interact with anything. You are a wanderer in all its like very like simplest form, an observer of this place at this moment in time. So I was like, yeah, this absolutely rules. And then I did my master's degree, and I picked to write about Proteus and to write about the conversation of, well, what is it to be within a video game space, and how do we feel present within these virtual worlds if we can't even like interact with them? Like, am I like, what even is this that I'm playing right now? Am I even playing? What do you play this game? There's no win state. There's no narrative. How am I engaging with this world? And does that fall under the umbrella of video game? And so that's essentially why I was like, yeah, this fucking rules. I've never played anything like this. This is the prettiest, cutest game ever, and it's just a very interesting game for conversations. And at the time, a lot of articles were coming out being like, this is not a video game. This is a glorified like digital artwork, or people are coming up with all sorts of silly names for it. But it was a good conversation, an interesting conversation. Walking Sims was coming into fruition, and people were like, these aren't video games. And like, and it's just like, that conversation is interesting. And, you know, it doesn't happen much today because everyone probably unanimously would be like, yeah, pretty sure this is, you know, it's on a computer, you're interacting with stuff, you're playing it, you have to boot it up, all this stuff. It's a world, an environment, a 3D environment you are present and exploring. But yeah, I just think it is a moment in video game history, indie history. Probably not a lot of people know about it, but it is important.
I think it's important.
Because those are big questions. And yeah, so that's going in the vault for me, because I don't know, I fucking love that game. It's really peaceful. It's a very peaceful game. Not for everyone. If you were going to ask me, should I play Proteus, I'd probably be like, well, we said this. It's £7 on Steam. Do not pay £7 for Proteus. I fucking love Proteus. Don't worry about it. Came out in 2013. They're probably doing other better, more magical things, the two devs. So maybe getting one that's on sale and just, play it and just, you know, it's like that, you know, it's like, because that's the thing. It's not like one of these games that are like toys, you know, like twinkly toys that you can play with. Like it literally is just you're walking around. So yeah. Don't pay £7 for it. But wait till it goes on Steam sale and then buy it then, and just have a nice half an hour wander. It's very nice.
What was it about it that made you think, okay, this is something special to me? Like, can you remember the particular parts of it that really, I don't know, I guess like captivated you?
I think for me, it was so minimalist. I think up to that point, I was really having a thing with video games where I was like, I hate everything. I don't want to shoot people. I don't like these very macho, very male-centered games. I want games that appeal to me and how I like to, what I want to do. And Proteus was that. It was just very much its own. Again, a pretty environment. You're wandering around. You don't really do much. And I really thought that was so interesting. And it wasn't a loud game. It's such a quiet, reflective game that you can really just have like think about whatever you want. And it gives you the space like to do that, just to reflect. And I really liked that aspect of it. And I thought, I want to play more games like this. I want to play more games where I'm just wandering around a cute environment, that I can just be my own person and just engage with the game on my terms without it, with the game giving me the space that allows me to do that. And that's why I particularly liked it. I just thought, this is like nothing else I've ever played. I want more cute games, seasonal games, just nice, gentle games. So yeah, that's what appealed to me about it. But I mean, that kind of sentiment is in loads of games now. Like, it's in cozy gaming scenes and farming sims and everything. This was before all of that. Like, this color palette, this very pastel-y color palette, there was no cute pastel games back in 2013. Like, this was like so different. It wasn't muddy browns or, do you know what I mean? Like, it was so, even the thumbnail of just like some trees and a field and some flowers was just so refreshing. And just it being on Steam, and I'd just not played anything else like it. And I was just, smitten with it. Absolutely and utterly. Like, even back then, playing games, which maybe puzzle games is different, but like games that you didn't have to, there was no combat. There was no combat. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I'm having such a good time. Yeah. Just wandering around. Yeah. So that was why I was just like, I'm going to write about indie games now. If this quarter of the industry is pumping out stuff like this, absolutely. Yeah. This is where I want to be. This is the kind of games I want to write about, because I have an opinion about this. I don't have an opinion on all the other shit in the industry that I just don't care about or don't connect with at all. So that was it for me. Ever since then, I was like, damn. And now I think it's been lost to time. I don't think anyone's really talking about this game or heard about this game. I think it's one of those that definitely, maybe in like essayists or like, I don't know, video game journals, but this is not part of a conversation.
I would imagine.
In any way.
This had a moment. I remember it having a moment. I remember there being articles about it. And like you said, a lot of them were like, oh, what is a game?
This is a non-game.
Non-game. But I think what Proteus probably did, I haven't played it, but from what I understand about it, is I think it really reset people's idea of like play in its most childlike form.
Yes.
Of like when you're saying there's no win states, there's no like mechanics or interactable like interactions. It's this idea that you just find play is there's no win state to play, right?
Yes.
Like as a child, it's just the joy of it. And I think this sort of gave you space. And you were saying before about like how all our games were interpretation. This is a blank canvas in that sense, right? You can project on this whatever you want. And I think, maybe it's been lost to time in sort of the way that we might think about the longevity of games. But I think you'd probably be hard pressed to find an indie dev who probably didn't either play this directly or play something that was very closely inspired by it.
Yes.
I feel like this definitely kicked off a movement that we're still seeing today.
And those definitions like walking sim, which just started as a term someone used to like knock a game that then became the accepted
term.
It was about DRS, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes,
but then became the accepted name of the genre. And you talk about like, non-games, but like anti-games. I'm, like very interested and quite into like anti-games as a thing. I mean, if you look at like the one I really like, which is Placid Plastic Duck Simulator. Can't say it fast.
Yes.
But it's like that idea of like at what level of interactivity and like non-interactivity. And I just find it really fascinating as well. Because like, just a quick question, because I've not played this. So like to clarify, does it end? Is it a sandbox, or is there like a point at which it ends? Like, I know there's no win state.
So when you get to winter, your eyes, because you don't have a menu, but your eyes close. So there's like when you first play the game, you're actually in the ocean. You wander through the ocean, you spot the island, and you approach the island. So you find the island. And each island, I think, is procedurally generated, so you get your own island. It's your
so that's like really interesting for
yes.
So
that's really interesting.
So you open your eyes
and
you get your own island. It's specific to you. It's no one else's. And then when it gets to winter, you close your eyes and then the game exits. So there is an ending.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing to stop you from opening the game again. Or do you close your eyes and can you open, or do you do that, or does it cycle? I can't remember. And I'm trying to think if it gives you the option, but it really doesn't communicate anything to you.
I feel like there's still sort of a narrative endpoint though, even if it's not like a sandbox in that sense of like there is sort of like a time limit to a certain But I just find it really interesting. Like it's not really a question that was leading anywhere sort of profound. I was just interested in terms of things like, because as someone who's quite interested in very sandboxy games as well, and like I have heard that criticism lobbied as well. That's like, if there's no end game, then it's not a game. And it's like, well, that's patently kind of, when you look at just how many things are a sandbox, to to strip something like back to the very basics of what is it to just loop around, as much as you, or as much or as little as you want to loop around kind of like the state of a game, which is just really interesting.
Yeah,
there's something so, I can't quite work out how I feel about it, but there's something so beautiful about you play it for half an hour, you exist in this space, and then it never exists again.
Yes.
Like
I know that really that cast a different light on it for me, like very slightly. It was really interesting.
Because I mean, you know, we spend so much time. I feel like everything I'm going to say here is like a very minor, stupid version of what you no doubt wrote in your dissertation.
No, yeah.
But there's, you know, we spend so much time in these spaces, we become so familiar with them. But this idea of this game that lets you spend a fleeting moment in something that's so uniquely yours.
Yes.
Is, that's incredible, I think. And yeah, this is a really interesting pick for the vault.
So the way that you interact with your island is hyper specific to your own actions that no one else will have done.
Yeah.
Even the route you take, because in Dear Esther, it's like you go through a certain route, and a lot of video games, even in sandbox games, there's like always something to draw your attention. Proteus is very much just like whatever grabs your attention first, and how you decide to look at it and observe it is completely and utterly your own experience. No one else will have had that apart from you. And so, it's very much like that. And it's beautiful.
I read something the other day about, it was like a definition of attention, and it was used in the context of like looking at art and like paintings or the, you know, traditional quote unquote art. And it was this idea that attention is, it was infinitely reflecting on yourself until it breaks. This idea that attention is like, when we pay attention to something, what we're doing is we're getting external stimuli, but then we're bouncing that around our own experiences, and we go deeper and deeper and deeper back until that attention breaks. And I'm just sort of thinking about like this game that has no narrative, where it's unique every time. Like the narrative sort of becomes the interaction that you have internally as you play it, almost like with like not much sound design, and sort of with everything being so procedurally generated. Like I guess you can't not form an emotional connection with this because there's nothing else to sort of hold on to. And that in of itself is a really interesting and unique take on like inhabiting a space, right? I've just realized after saying that the wankiest thing I've ever said on this podcast.
But this is really interesting.
This game inspires this kind of conversation. That's why it's important. You have to kind of engage with it on that level. You have to, and that's great. It's really wanky, and that's what makes it really interesting.
I just thought it was very funny, the parallel, because 20 minutes ago we were talking about shoving Bjorn into a Peggle machine. But wow, what an amazing choice.
It's a gem if you like that stuff. If not, maybe Hotline Miami or Journey for sure. There are 3 good ones. So let's boot it in the vault. Oof, and in Proteus goes.
And it goes.
Lands on the shelf perfectly.
Oh, absolutely. My sticky fingerprinted glass shelf
bounces off my head. My blood-soaked head.
Onto the shelf, the door slides closed perfectly afterwards. It's
done.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yes,
so nice.
3 amazing picks.
I think this is a really, really solid like set of vault picks.
We all didn't mean to do this, but they do definitely all say different things about the industry at a point in history.
Pure coincidence, really they're all from the same like 18-month period is amazing.
Yes, they are.
That is.
I mean, I guess it's partly because we're more or less of an age.
No,
God, do you remember when video games actually inspired conversations like these and weren't just churning them out, and then we would just eat them like it's just up all the time. So many indies. I mean, I fucking love it, but also after this conversation, I'm thinking like, when was the last time I played a game and like it had this effect? Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Is it an effect that as well? I think, to be fair,
maybe it's
there is an aspect of hindsight, I think, always involved. It's like we were talking yesterday about the games that we feel have defined the 2020s, and I was saying I can't think of anything from 2024 yet, but maybe it just requires a degree of hindsight to really understand where you land on a lot of things.
That's a really...
And even though these games obviously made a big impact on us all at the time, like, you don't know... There are things that impact you in the moment, and then a couple of years later, you don't think about them at all.
Yeah.
And like, you know, so like the legacy of something is, it's impossible, I think, to understand legacy in a moment, basically.
Yes. Very good point.
Really, really good read.
Makes me feel a lot better now.
Yeah, it's not just you.
Also, I'm definitely going to play Proteus next time it's at like when it goes down.
Yeah, me
Yes.
too. 100%.
I mean, maybe
I
that is a
did
bit
miss that
mean.
one.
It's just I don't want people to pay £7 and be like, the fuck. Like, you're not going to get out of it what I got out of it. You will everyone will.
The conversation's moved on because of it, which is such an interesting effect that really influential pieces of media have on what comes after.
That's the thing. Without that context, it very much is a dated game that kind of looks at ideas, and without that, being released in 2013 and all the stuff that I've talked about. I mean, it's a very basic game. You wouldn't know that from the game. Doesn't communicate it like Journey or Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
This game requires you to engage with the history of indie games in a way in which, and if you didn't know that, you'd just be like, this is a very pretty but very empty walking sim. So it is interesting in that respect as well.
It came out after Minecraft, I'm just thinking as well.
Oh,
which
yes.
is, I don't know, that feels notable because Minecraft is a game where everything is interactable.
Yes.
So they're quite similar in the sense that everyone's Minecraft world is different.
Yes.
But Minecraft is all about destroying that world and building something out of it and making your mark on it, whereas Proteus is almost like, no, you're a visitor here.
Yes. That is a brilliant word.
Yeah.
It's your island, but you are definitely a visitor.
Yeah.
You must accept what is in front of you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that.
And yeah.
Yes. Perfection.
Really, we've done it again. We've done it again.
Yeah. That is a really good term to describe it, because in video games you play as a person who is from that world, or you play as a character who in Proteus you don't have that. You are you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It always feels really notable when a game does that in any way.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely it does. Yeah.
And it is. It's a privilege to be in this moment, in this island made for you.
I like that.
It's like,
that's really
I'll
nice.
take a little sip.
Oh, hello.
So
She's having a sip of water.
also
Should we all have a sip of water?
Yeah.
Mine's lemonade.
Oh, I finished my Bundaberg ginger beer.
Oh, yes.
Should we beep the brand name?
Other ginger beers are available, but not as good as a cold, refreshing Bundaberg.
I mean, if Bundaberg want to sponsor us, I wouldn't turn down Bundaberg money if that was what they wanted to do.
Oh, that's a good name. Bundaberg.
Bundaberg.
Love that.
Has a nice cadence to it. Well, as we all know, and we've been talking about it this weekend, there's only one sponsor we'd accept. Fangamer. We haven't mentioned you in a while, Fangamer. Please.
Fangamer. I just saw the new Ace Attorney pins, Fangamer. We need to have a talk,
please. We
please.
need those Apollo Justice pins. We need that Pizza Tower merch.
We
the
do.
Vinyl.
I need that Pizza Tower vinyl.
Those Bug Snacks plushies. I want the Sinner Snail, please.
Fangamer, I'm looking at Rebecca as she's talking about that Ace Attorney merch. You don't want to not send her it for free. You can get in touch with us. Contact at indieventurepodcast.co.uk. I'm not above it.
Do you imagine? That would be incredible. I would cry. I would weep for
so
joy.
Liam just saw me turn into the heart eye emoji and was like,
Yes.
Fangamer.
Fangamer's our crush that we're trying to get their attention. Like
You.
you.
Shaking
bit of
my
a
hand.
preen here.
You.
I want to shake my hanky for Fangamer to say awooga and to float towards me like a cartoon wolf. And instead of landing a smooch on me, they give me a Pizza Tower vinyl.
Yes. Oh my god.
So yeah, that's 3 more games in the vault. I'm incredibly happy with our choices.
Me too.
Oh, does someone have their phone so we can look at all the ones that are in there? Maybe we should give a rundown of what else is in
Yes.
the
Do you want to
vault.
get on that?
Yeah, let me do that.
Thank you.
I was about to say, if anyone's listening for the first time, lol. What a one to start on. Bloody
Welcome.
hell.
But also, my god.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you've got this far.
That's beautiful. There's just a page on this website for the Vault specifically. It's so
Yeah,
easy to access this
ooh.
information.
Lovely.
Not optimized, but yeah, it's there.
But yeah, so these will be numbers 11 to 13, I believe,
Oh,
going into the
really?
Vault. We had a
Wow.
nice round 10. Now we're at a slightly more dubious 13. I personally think 13 is a very good number. I think it gets a bad rap.
Can you imagine if something happens and we can't do the podcast ever again and it ends on 13 in the vault?
Oh no, we'd
God,
have
no.
to. We'd have to just chuck one more in, just
We would,
quickly.
wouldn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, real talk. 2 of my cousins have their birthdays on the 13th, and I always thought that's a very good day.
Yes.
Very good
Yeah.
day. Shall I just go through the
Yeah,
list of
go
what we've
for
got
it.
already?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no need to give like a lot of context, but so we have. I'll go backwards just to make it interesting.
Oh, okay.
Paradise Killer,
Yeah.
Monster Prom, Return of the Obra Dinn, Hypnospace Outlaw, Firewatch, Kentucky Route Zero, Stardew Valley, Disco Elysium, Hades, and our game of the year for last year, which is Dredge.
And on top of that, Journey, Hotline Miami,
and Proteus.
When you hear them all together, our ultimate goal of the vault, way back when, under different employment, was to build a list of what we considered to be within this trio the best list of indie video games you could play. So if you had never played an indie or you hadn't ever sort of experienced this side of the industry, you could play anything from our list or all of them and would experience something that we deem to be worthy of your time. Hearing them all together, I think we are building a pretty bloody good collection of games.
That is a rad collection. I also feel really bad that I, as a joke, whisper Peggle and I don't think you caught it, so enjoy it.
It's because I'm in person and I have headphones on, so I can't
enjoy that in the edit. Anyway.
Yes, it's in there now.
No,
come in, Bjorn.
I just really thought. I think I went too quiet with it. I really thought that you would both catch it immediately. I was just like, neither of them heard. What the fuck?
He's gonna shit all over everything.
That was I felt increasingly guilty as you gave a really good and meaningful rundown of why we do this. And then I was like, and I'm like, oh no, he's gonna be a ghost in the machine when you come to do the edit.
Oh, Beyond's ghost in the Peggle machine.
Oh my god!
I really would like to clarify, since this is my mischief. Peggle is not currently in the vault.
No, yeah.
No.
Everything, as far as I'm concerned, is up for future litigation. But at this point, Peggle is not in the vault.
When we answered that question in the mailbag episode, when I think it was your friend that said if we added anything into the vault,
yes,
what would be a hard line? We were like, oh, we know what those games would be. It's like Immortality, it's Braid. And it's so funny that the most visceral reaction you've ever had to a game is Peggle.
Oh my God.
I didn't know it was within me, but then you brought it up and I was like, I feel so strange.
Yeah, I like it.
I hate this game.
I got a real murderous feeling in me about certain mythical animals with Scandinavian names.
Something has changed within me. Something
Goosebumps.
is not the same.
Oh, gotta add the Rachel is overcome by the power of song.
Yes, fuck. Just look at
Go in the
Rebecca
tags.
for wicked lyric.
Oh, I
my
know.
god.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Genuinely.
beautiful.
It was a really lovely moment in my life.
In real life now. It's incredible. Yeah.
With the microphone
With the microphone as well. The handheld microphone. Yeah.
Yes. The vault is looking good. It is looking fresh.
It is.
It's looking
Other
amazing.
than the blood.
Just step over the dead gopher on the way out and you'll be fine.
Yeah, there's 2 dead bodies in here now.
Also, no,
And
we got
blood.
to push them out because that's not been approved by the group.
Right, okay.
The dead bodies do have to be pushed
Actually,
outside.
yeah, can we just
But when we come back in another
Push
8
them out
months'
with my
time,
foot.
we have to remember that there's just 2 skeletons,
Like, what the
presumably,
fuck?
outside the door.
What's this?
What are they? Anyway, yeah, Liam, of course you can put Peggle in. I have no feelings whatsoever now that it's been 6 months.
Over my dead body? My dead body be the next time. I'll be a skeleton.
Oh no, we left Rachel in the vault.
That was our old co-host dead in the vault. And that's the gopher she killed as well before.
I actually like the thought that when we reopened the vault as Indieventure, our corpses were in there. And it's
That's some fucking...
every time we reboot
that is
the
some
podcast.
time travel horror movie shit.
You just have to eat the Nintendo Switch cartridges that you have at the bottom of your pit. Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to just suck on those for sustenance.
It's so nutritious.
God, sorry, I zoned out for a minute because I was just the amount of horror films I've seen where there's a time loop and then they go and they find their own pile of corpses, and I was like,
We were talking about sucking on Switch cartridges.
Yeah, I came back and you guys are sucking on Switch cartridges, and I was like, oh God, that was not the moment to just not be in the room for a second.
Delicious. Wow.
Right.
So after that, shall we move on to hyperfixations?
Hey.
Yes.
Cool. My throat is sore from laughing.
Mine too. You can probably
I'm
hear
feeling it.
It's incredible.
I don't know how much this is coming through in my voice, but also I think my antihistamine is thoroughly worn off. So if I sound a bit gravelly, I'm sorry.
Do you need another one?
No, I can't hear.
I'll
I
take
can't
one before I
tell.
go to bed because I have the knockout ones to help me sleep a bit better.
Nice.
So
Oh, we're gonna sleep so good.
Oh, we're going to sleep so
We're gonna
good
sleep
tonight.
So
gang.
good.
Oh, we did such a long walk today.
We did. Saw a waterfall.
22,500 steps.
22,500 steps.
Saw some sheep.
We did. We had a nice picky tea.
We did. We said hello to a bunch of fellow walkers.
So many
that was
people.
so nice.
People.
Hey.
We've seen a cat as well. I feel like that's very
Oh,
important.
that cat was so nice.
The beautiful ragdoll cat just chilling in one of
cute.
the cabins. Yeah.
Oh, and the other one,
so
and the
nice.
other cat on the walk as
The
well.
other cat. Oh, they're cute.
Yes,
The
yes.
calico looking at us over the top.
Oh,
so cute.
So, I thought that's what you were talking about, actually. Yeah,
I just.
She's talking about Garfield, who you named.
Oh god.
How could you forget about Garfield? You
My
named him
boy.
not 1 hour ago. An hour and a half
That was
ago.
probably over an hour ago. I can't
Yes,
see
I think it was.
It's rare that I can't see it. Actually, this is the first time we've recorded one of these where I can't see the timer.
Oh, you can't see the timer. Do you want to guess how long we've been recording for?
I'm looking at
It's nearly 11 o'clock at night, so
an hour and
2 hours.
45 minutes.
Oh, hour 50.
Oh.
Right down the middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I know,
God, we
right?
can gab, can't we?
We
can.
absolutely can.
We've not stopped all day. It's been
Literally.
the best.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Literally. Oh, what a day. Remember when I called the taxi driver for our taxi at the station tomorrow and he was involved in a minor accident as I was on the phone to
You were
him?
on the phone, yeah.
Oh my God.
And then he apologised to me?
He phoned you back.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm really sorry. A car went in the back of my car. Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow to pick you up. Oh, okay. Thank you. It's very kind of you.
Oh, bless him. All right, who wants to go first for hyperfixations?
Why don't you go first?
I will. Mine is Flock. I love Flock. I want to talk about Flock all the time.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of it. This is the game by Hollow Ponds and Richard Hogg, who have done other games like Wilmot's Warehouse and
I Am Dead.
I Am Dead. Thank you. I Am Dead and other very whimsical, cutesy games. I've spoken up Flock before, but for those who are not aware, you play as a tiny person on the back of a giant bird who's flying throughout very, very whimsical, cute landscapes, enlisting different flying creatures into your small army that follows you around. I say army, it's just like a cute group of creatures. But yes, it's a creature collecting sim. It's so cute and wonderful, and I'm having such a good time. It's definitely, absolutely going to be in my top 5 of the year.
Ooh.
It's probably going to hustle with Lorelei and oh my God. What? 1000x resist. Oh Jesus. Oh my God. Okay, it's gonna hustle with those two. Obviously, I don't care about 1000x resist that much if I can't fucking remember it. So it's gonna. I'm pretty sure it's like. But this is the thing, and I was telling you guys earlier about it. I think the other two, I would objectively tell anyone to play them. I think Flock is very much like my kind of shit, and I love it. And if you're into that kind of like whimsical games where it's just a bit of fun and there's not that much like drama or like, I don't know, action, you're just chilling and vibing, then Flock is definitely one to play. I'm having such a good time. I think I'm halfway through, so about an hour and a half, so it's probably like 3 hours long. So yeah, very much vibing with it. Yeah, love it. I want to play it right now, and I actually do have my laptop with me.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just
There's been moments
play it to the night.
moments all weekend where it's been like, what if we just went and like played video games separately for like an hour or so? But then we just couldn't stop talking. So
Absolutely.
I assumed at some point we would just do that.
I really did. I mean, I brought my
we have
Steam
not.
Deck with me on the assumption that like I'd either play it on the train or for a bit when we're here. And, like,
Yeah,
really not
So yes.
stopped hanging out, have we?
We really
it's been
haven't.
great. We've
Which
just
has been
not gotten sick of
fantastic.
each other yet. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know.
So yeah, mine is Flock. I've really enjoyed it. God, that studio just makes such whimsical games. They are so lovely and cozy, and yeah, so I was very happy with it. And it was one of my anticipated games of the year, so I'm really happy that I was anticipating it and it was like all it's
That's
set
just
out
so.
to be.
It's like me with
Yes.
Little Kitty. It's just like
Yes.
it's so nice when it just
Yes.
is exactly
Yeah.
what you wanted it to be. Like,
Yeah.
then you know, more recognition for when things just deliver on what they promised is
Absolutely.
so good.
Yeah.
Yes, and I will be catching every single one of those creatures. There's like a whole bestiary of each one, and I think it's gonna be my hyperfixation because I will not stop until I have enlisted every single one
Yeah.
into my squad, my cute bird squad. So,
I'm glad you like it because we said on the last episode that like this is so Rachel coded.
Yes, yes.
And it clearly is, right? Like we're
Yes.
not wrong about that
It's
assumption.
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't wait
love
to play
it.
this. Yeah. Do
Who's next then?
you want to go next?
I'll go next. Yeah, I was kind of like been a really, really busy few weeks for me. I know I've said that in the last few episodes, but it's been really busy. Like, I've just finished moving house. I'm still in boxes in the new house. Apologies in advance if the next couple of episodes sound kind of weird because my PC packed in days before I moved. So there's a whole, I need to now get a new PC. It's like, it's all kicking off. There hasn't been a lot of time to be hyperfixated on things. And I did say earlier that genuinely like coming here and hanging out with you guys, definitely.
You cutie.
But then I was like, is that too sentimental? I mean, it's genuinely the truth. But in the nature of if you want something that's just like a recommendation, well, it's kind of like more of a documentation than a recommendation. I was like, I probably should mention, after all that I bang on about Danganronpa, I have now finished the main arc of that franchise.
Oh,
like after such a long, after I started playing it in like late 2020, early 2021.
Oh wow.
And like, because it's just, they're huge games, and then there's like novels and anime and stuff, and I still haven't played like the reboot game. But yeah, while I was managing the move, one thing that I did do was watch the concluding anime, which I thought was probably the weakest part of the franchise, to be honest, and I didn't love it. As you guys, Rachel's heard this at great length. Liam's heard the highlights. But yeah, it's like, because I talk about it on the podcast a lot, because it's been like a thing that, you know, my hyperfixations tend to have quite a long lifespan to them.
Yes.
And this is one that I've been like digging into for a while. So it does feel pretty significant to have finished the Hope's Peak arc, which is the main, it's 3 games, a novel, and a anime series. And yeah, so we finished that. Did kind of feel like it's like a moment, you know, in my life. I've seen this whole arc now. So yeah, now I go on to, well, I have a break from it for a bit and then go on to the reboot game. But yeah, I wouldn't say I recommend. I much more recommend going hanging out with 2 of your friends in a really nice like caravan in the Yorkshire Dales for a few days over watching the Danganronpa concluding anime, even if you are a fan, to be honest. I had to watch it because I'm extremely like detail oriented like that, but I'd not heard good reviews, and it was about what I expected based on the reviews that I'd heard. But you know, glad I did it, glad I have all the information. And
it's such a shame though, it's so annoying.
It is.
From what you were telling us, it was just like it was deviated from the games, and like the characters you were saying much.
I mean, the characters are what, you know, I mean, I liked the setup from the very start, but it was when I started to really click with the characters that this became like such a fixation for me. And so to see like the secondary characters who for me are the heart of the franchise just given like very like poor endings, I was like, that was what annoyed me. I mean, like, I think if it had been a game and it had been the original writing team, the same story would have been maybe still, I wouldn't have been like without my nerdy complaints, but I think I probably would have been like, no, fair enough, that was like a, you know, a good, but the way it has to be like compressed down into like a much shorter time span than these games usually run for, the fact that they were kind of, they handed off a broad outline, and then a lot of stuff was like very compressed and very simplified, and it just didn't quite satisfy. But like, I sort of know the ending, which is always, it's always this interesting moment though, when you're like, I kind of know the ending for all the characters now, even if I don't like it. I kind of, I have this sense of where canon ends and where like head canon and fanon and all of that, which is really significant around this fandom, especially because they do a lot of like, not non-canonical, but they do a lot of like AU canon still. And so like to kind of know, but where like main universe canon is like, there's a line under that now, allegedly. I mean, it's always allegedly in terms of like media generally, and like video games and anime especially. You're just like, oh, maybe we'll do like a remake or a reboot, or we'll do something with it you're not expecting in another 10 years time, and you never know. But yeah, to just kind of like know the sort of core story, and now be like, because I'm reading a lot of the manga at the moment, I've still got the like spin-off game that is like Alt Universe to play at the after V3. I mean, I'm nerdy and detail oriented, and I like that I've got my details now, even if I didn't actually like the ending very much.
I love this as a hyperfixation because your long-running relationship with this series has been a constant fixture since Redacted podcast. So I think to have reached that first notable conclusion before you move on to the last few scraps, basically, is... Yeah, I think that counts. Not really a recommendation, like you say.
Yes.
But
yeah, it would be weird not to mention it, having brought it up like so much. Because I mean, it felt kind of strange earlier this year when I didn't mention that I was playing Ultra Despair Girls, which was the last game in that arc.
Because it just not.
I don't think it ever came up, just because like there was so many other things around it that I was like really like geared up to talk about. And I think it just fell between recordings to the point where I had a new hyperfixation to talk about by the time we got to like the next episode. But yeah, that was pretty significant. I played Ultra Girls early this year, and that was another one where I'd be like, I personally actually really liked that, but it's a hard recommend. Like if there's a lot where you're like, I need to sit you down and give you a lot of context about why it's like this game is like, it's pretty like, it changes genre. It's a third person shooter rather than a visual novel. It tackles some of the most like quite sensitive, well, maybe not sensitive, but like quite maturely, I think, but it tackles some of the grimmest and darkest subject matter in the entire franchise. And that's kind of saying something in a franchise that's all about like kids murdering each other.
God damn.
Yeah, but that kind of never came up. So I was like, I should like round off the documentation because like the odds are really good that even though I'll play V3 and I'll play Summer Camp and like move on to the new stuff they're doing, which is not called Danganronpa because of the rights, but it'll, you know, like, Thousand Line Defense Academy that's coming out next year is basically the next Danganronpa game. But you know, that's kind of like potentially, I mean, I'll still bring it up because that's what hyperfixation's like. You'll still find ways to work it into everything.
Absolutely.
But like the line's kind of drawn under it in a quite significant way. And I was like, I should really mention that, especially in a month where I've just not had time to get anything new in my brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's me. But genuinely, like hanging out with my friends.
Yes.
It has been
cool
lovely,
friends.
hasn't
It's been awesome.
It's so nice.
Yeah, this has like been also because of the fact that like literally I finished the move last week or whatever. Like knowing that this has been in the calendar for months.
Yeah.
It's just like the thing that I'm working towards was like, okay, so I like finish the move and then it's my dad's birthday and then like we properly like hand off the old place and then I do a few days at work and then I come here and that was like this sort of like train of events, like, and then I get to be here.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's like it's hard to maintain friendships in your 30s.
Yeah.
And, like,
oh god.
When we all left the same website, like there was nothing tying us together.
Oh, absolutely.
We've done well to like.
Absolutely. I mean, we really have. I mean, I've left jobs before. I've been really tight with the people there, and then just like basically spoken to them twice more. And I try not to beat myself up for that because I'm like, that is, you know, adult life, especially as an adult. Yeah. It's like, you know, you can think very fondly on the friends that you made earlier in your adult life and you know still like if I saw them today I would be delighted to see them and catch up with them, but there's just, you know, that moment in your life where you were really important to each other is like it can be its own moment. It doesn't have to carry on forever to have been meaningful. But yeah, no, it's at the same time really great to like a year later still be such good friends that we talk practically every day.
Yes,
like,
we do.
We do, don't we?
Really do.
We really do.
And that's Discord, yeah.
That's one of the weird things of being here is like it doesn't feel as weird because I haven't seen you guys in person for 9 or 10 months. Weirdly, I remember it was the day
October.
Matthew Perry died was the last time we saw each other.
Oh my god,
yes.
it was. You're right.
That's like kind of like weird because I remember getting on the train and then I opened my phone and like that was the news article that came up and so that's really like cemented in my mind. So that must have been late October last year. It's now early August.
God damn.
And yeah, but it doesn't feel as weird to be seeing each other in person because we're just like very constant fixtures in each other's lives, which is just
it's
great,
nice.
honestly.
Yeah, I'm so happy we hung out this weekend. It's been lovely. And this is fun. I'm actually worried that doing this in person has been so fun.
I know. I've had the same thought, to be honest.
Like, oh my god.
Wait, that what?
That it's never going to hit the same whenever
it's like we're going to need to find a way to get together and record in person more often.
Cool. Right. Well, yeah, definitely a bit of my hyperfixation is this weekend. 100%.
Yay!
But also my hyperfixation is I bought a small handheld from AliExpress for like under £40 and it's giving me childlike joy for the first time in years. It's called the, let me see if I can remember the name because it's insane. Anbernic RG 35XXH, I think is the name of it.
Rolls off the tongue.
Rolls off the tongue.
What was that Japanese game we were talking about this morning?
Mate.
It sounds like the name of that.
What was that? Can you Google?
How am I Googling this? What are we
Rebecca
saying?
is basically find that game, Rebecca. That's all I'm going to give you.
Wait.
It was Level 5 who make Layton.
Okay.
They released an iOS and Android game that had a ridiculous name.
Yes.
I think if you scroll down their list of games on Wikipedia, you'll find the name of it. But it has the same energy as the name of this little console.
Right, I'm working on this.
Oh, she's got it.
I love how we're referring on the podcast to other conversations we had
earlier.
on the podcast.
Oh my
I'm
god.
real with you. I wasn't even in the room for this one. Must have been while I was in the shower or something, because I don't remember this.
Why were you not? Was it just me and you?
I thought you were there.
Yeah, I thought
you've always been with us for now and ever.
Yeah.
We're never apart.
I definitely took a shower, guys. I just really want that made clear.
Oh shit! Maybe I should look it up hold on. Let me have a look.
My phone is actually. I think I've lost it. Oh, right. I'm keeping all this in. By the way.
I know.
Yeah,
Let me have a look.
Yeah, please.
When was it, Liam?
It was like maybe 2013. The name was like the longest name they do.
I'm going to make Rebecca say it out loud.
Was it?
Oh, yeah, here.
Yeah.
Oh. This one here that does not have a Wikipedia article. Would you please read that one out for the class?
Earth devastating B-grade girlfriend Z space war. I would remember if I'd been in the room for this conversation, guys.
So we're talking about level 5, and yeah, apparently they released that game.
We were like, oh, what did they do after Leighton? Can you say that name one more time?
Earth devastating B-grade girlfriend Z, space war.
Yes! Oh my God.
It's so good.
So good. It sounds like that.
I bought Earth Devastating Girlfriend BZ from AliExpress. So this little handheld is very well made. It's got a lovely little screen. It's the size of an original 3DS, but it's not got the clamshell design. And it is an emulation machine. Scandal noted. But it plays games up to... It can play the majority of Dreamcast and PSP library at most. But I got it because I'm going to Mexico later this year with friend of the podcast, Yoli. And I didn't want to take some of my other handhelds like a Steam Deck or a Switch OLED. So I was like, I'll buy this little thing for not that much money. And I'll just throw a load of games on there from like the GBA, the PS1, some Game Boy things on there as well, which I own. I own them all, officer. And they're my ROMs to dump. They're at someone else's house right now. But if you come back, I'll be able to find them. Yes. And I love this little thing. Like, I love like a little project. Oh, I love a little project. So I love putting all the games on there. Oh, I'll put some artwork on there. Just get them all nicely organized and named. Oh, I don't like that, so I'll redo the formats. Love it. I'm a man of a certain age now. And this thing's just great. And I have really enjoyed playing it. I've been playing some Game Boy games. Last weekend I played Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins on Game Boy. Ooh. Which is not a good game.
Certainly a game.
Certainly a game I played. And it's not normal to think to yourself, yeah, I'll play a Game Boy game from the 80s. Like, I'll do that. This is normal. But what's really nice about this particular line of the RG35XX is Anbernic every hour will release a new model with the same hardware in it. So you can get one like mine, which is like, it's got 2 analog sticks. You can play PS1 stuff on there, and it's got, a couple of face buttons. And it looks like, like a classic, like, I guess, like, imagine a Game Boy Micro, but bigger. That's kind of what it looks like with 2 analog sticks on. But they do one that's literally the same as a Game Boy Advance SP. It has the clamshell design. So you can literally just play Game Boy games on there, but doesn't have the analog sticks. They do one that looks like an original Game Boy. So they just keep releasing this hardware with different form factors. And I just think that's neat. But it has a little bit of a hobbyist like level to it. You can't just get one and then sort of just like charge it up and play it. You do have to like mess around with micro SDs and installing firmware, and it's a bit of a faff, but yeah, I like it. Do I like it as much as hanging out with my friends? Maybe. No, it's not as good, but it's been fun.
Invitation to redacted location, also redacted.
I'm being censored.
Retracted, that's the word I'm trying to say. It's really late, guys.
So yeah, we just recorded our first ever podcast in person. It's wild we've never done one in person before.
Yeah, I know, it feels weird.
Yeah.
I feel like there were plans for 1 month that just fell through, and it's kind of taken a while, but I'm really glad that we finally managed to do it.
We did it.
Did we ever plan on doing one?
We
redacted?
did. Yeah, we did.
Did we?
At a certain... Yep.
I was thinking of at the point where we were like, we could do one, like, if we could get a stage set up at like EGX or something.
Because when that person in PAX that recognised your voice,
yes,
who worked for our former company,
yes,
and immediately me and you were like, "Hey, listen, get us on a stage at EGX,
yes,
right?
We were.
Don't even worry about it, buddy. We'll be fine. We won't swear. Just get us on a stage."
Well, the good news is that we once again have as much connection to EGX quite equally.
Yeah, of course.
So,
it's no longer part of...
It's no longer part of...
okay.
We should go on stage. We should talk about pushing Bjorn into the Peggle machine and presumably make a child cry.
Well, now that
I want to pick someone from the audience to decide. But like, it's your fate. You decide if Bjorn or the gopher gets pushed in the Peggle machine.
The problem is, I think we all have enough audience plans that we could try and load it up with sympathetic individuals to our causes.
Oh yeah.
Hello, Mr. EG. Hello, Mr. EGX.
Yeah, we should do it.
It'd be this, but with like 2 people in the audience.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, now
Rebecca's family members.
I can pretty much drum up 30 people if we need 30 people.
That's very true.
Hell yeah.
Some of them are babies, but you know what? Babies count. Babies count, and they can't get up and leave. So
I want to ask a baby if I can put Peggle in the vault. I want that to be the decision of a baby.
We should, definitely put Peggle up to the choice of a baby, or Peggle 2, make it spicy. You know, like when the adults put the babies with the plushies, the Pokemon plushies is like...
Oh, yeah, which one?
We'll do that with Peggle 2.
So, listeners, we've got a few options here. Maybe to get Peggle in the vault, we'll need a wide range of data points. So if you think Peggle should be in the vault, email us, contact@indieventurepodcast.co.uk. We'll also ask a baby.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do something like a rat maze. Or like that, that goldfish that was trading on the stock market.
The octopus that can predict the outcome.
Yeah. We're going to try and get as many data points as possible.
If all that points to Peggle, I'll allow it.
Okay, right. Ooh. You heard this here.
Yeah.
She's committed.
A goldfish, a squid, a baby,
right,
a rat.
And how many responses do we need before we consider it like a significant
All
survey?
4. I want all 4.
But I mean, like, in terms of like just people that listen as well.
Like... because we do not get a lot of emails.
One person.
Okay,
to
no,
say...
we should count emails.
You might be that
comments,
one person.
Comments across
you, listener.
social media and the sites.
Maybe they're 2 different data points.
Oh, interesting. Email. Like, do you give a shit enough to email, or will you just drop a comment? That's a good.
Don't at me.
Right, we'll do one email.
Don't at me, because I literally don't check Twitter anymore. By the way, guys, just like generally, please. I'm trying to move away from it.
One
email.
Touch fingers. One email.
A rat.
2 rats.
A squid. A goldfish and a baby.
Right. And 1 Discord comment.
Yeah, right.
Pete.
Jammy.
Pete and Jam. Pete, you owe me because you didn't like my little meth brain joke.
Is this going in?
This is going in.
It's wild. Calling out,
being like,
we've graduated from calling out people we personally know by name to like just regular listeners who get in touch. Thank you so much, by the way, for how often you get in touch and how supportive you've been throughout the lifetime of this podcast and Redacted podcast before it. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're all really making me laugh.
I hope that you know that this is all done with love.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh,
okay.
Right. I think I don't want to be done. I feel like I could keep going.
I feel like we're going to go watch a movie or something.
Yeah. But I need to piss real bad. And I've been holding my farts in again.
I was hiding my eye. I was like, should I say you need to fart real bad?
I gotta go. Listener, I gotta go outside and do some farting. So...
This is wild. This is unhinged. We're in the Wild West. We've never been this deep into the empty void.
Absolutely not.
I'm waving my arms around.
I need you all to know that what you might hear might be like a solid 4 minutes, but this has been like 20 minutes and most of it has to be cut. So,
oh my God.
Right.
I have to go fart.
I also hadn't really thought that I'm recording all this on my work laptop and Teams is open. Can you imagine?
Oh God, it's incredible.
Right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It has to. Thank you as well for everyone who listened to the Cool Supper episode last week. Episode.
Yes, thank you.
The responses to that have been really nice, and it was like a cool thing that we did. So I really appreciate everyone being chill about it. So more of that maybe, although after this episode, maybe not.
God.
I don't want to be associated with these people. You kidding?
Yeah, well, weirdly, the developers of Peggle don't want to come onto the podcast.
Bring them on.
Let them answer for their crime.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Oh no, we need to stop before we just say the same sentence in unison, all three of us. It's just too weird.
It's zooming round.
Oh, yeah, the brain cell's in the room. Is the brain cell in the room with us?
If the brain cell's in the room, show us a sign.
It's like looms up.
The brain cell's in the back. Come on through, brain cell.
Hey!
Oh my God.
Oh God. I think it's time to go and watch the Goofy movie, you guys.
Yes,
oh yeah, it's time to watch the Goofy movie. It's
genuinely
11 at night. Bye.
Genuinely our plan for the evening. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Indieventure is a video games podcast created, produced, hosted, and edited by Rachel Watts, Rebecca Jones, and me, Liam Richardson. For more information, including a list of every game we mentioned in this episode, make sure to check out our website, indieventurepodcast.co.uk. You can get in touch by sending your questions, comments, and feedback to contact@indieventurepodcast.co.uk. You can support the show by rating us 5 stars and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast provider of choice. Some of the games we talk about on the show may have been provided to us for free for review consideration. Our intro music and stings were composed for us by Ollie Newbury. Check the episode description to hear more of his excellent tunes. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for another episode of Indieventure. Bye for now.